Columbus, Georgia. This is your city council. Mayor, Skip Henderson. Byron Hickey, District 1. Glenn Davis, District 2. Bruce Huff. District 3, Toya Tucker. District 4, Charmaine Crabb. District 5, Gary Allen. District 6, Joanne Kogel. District 7, Walker Garrett. District 8, John Anchor. District 9, At-Large Council, Travis Chambers. District 10, At-Large Council, Lindsay McLemore, Clerk of Council, and City Attorney Clifton Fay. Columbus, Georgia. This is your city council.
Good morning and welcome to the March 31st City Council meeting, as we call it to order. We will have a consent agenda today, and then we'll move into a work session. So we're glad that y'all are here. I have not yet warned him, but we've got Counselor Anthony here. There he is. He's a former counselor and pastor, and we want to invite him to the podium to ask God's blessings on these proceedings. If you would hit that button, Wayne. There you go.
Special privilege to be able to be giving the invocation on this week, which is called Holy Week by 3 world religions. It is observed around the world on both Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. And what a way today to focus on it is our need for God involved in what we're doing individually and collectively. So let me lead us in prayer. Oh God, thank you for every person that is here, the homes from which they come, the organizations that support them, the community that endorses them, and then your divine wisdom that guides them. We pray for encouragement for each and every one, especially during busy seasons. Bless those that are seeking office, those that are serving in office, and those that serve the citizens of this city. And then we ask that you pour out your wisdom on us as we collectively gather together to seek your guidance and to serve you and the people of this great community to make it a better place to live and work, play, and pray. We pray it in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Wayne, thank you. We appreciate you being here so many times.
Can I walk around and shake hands with you?
Yes, you can. We appreciate your support of public safety and all that you have done for the citizens of this community. Well, while most of us are on our feet, I'll ask the rest of you to join us and we'll pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank y'all. All right, first order of business to approve the minutes from the March 24th meeting. There's a motion and a second. Any edits or any questions on those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? All right, minutes are passed. Now we can, typically what we do with the consent agenda is we can adopt the entire agenda with a motion and a second, and then we can still let the city attorney walk through the different items that are on it. All right, there's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any questions on any of the items from anybody?
We've got the ordinance on airport residency, the resolution of intent on the residency being only one member from out of Muskogee, and then excusing Councilor Hickey.
Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, consent agenda is approved.
Mayor, we'll need a short executive session on litigation at the end of the meeting.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right, I'm going to let the deputy city manager pull these up, but I am going to make a comment on this, the first item up here. It's an update on the state of the fire and EMS department. We have committed through public safety to come before council about once a month or so and just let you know what each branch of the first responders and the public safety are doing. And I'm going to invite Chief Scarpa to the podium. While he's coming, I want to make mention, we've got one of our firefighters here that, we talk about our first responders as heroes, and that's the word that gets thrown around kind of loosely from time to time, but every once in a while we get reminded that there are people who do things that while we think of that as heroic, they think of it as just doing their job. And I had the privilege to be in Atlanta when the governor recognized one of our individuals, and we've asked the chief to bring him here today, along with his dad, who's hobbling after some knee surgery, but who is also serving the citizens in the fire and EMS. Chief, I'm going to leave it to you. I don't want to mess up the narrative. If you don't mind, I'm going to let you call Mr. Barfield up front with you and anybody else that wants to join him, and let you kind of walk us through the events of that afternoon.
Yes, sir.
Richard, you want to come forward?
Mr. Barfield, if you want to come up and bring your family. Thank you, Mayor, members of council, Mr. City Attorney, Deputy City Managers. Good to see you all this morning. It is my privilege this morning to share with you, as the mayor said, we always have members in our organization who go above and beyond every day. It is unusual when some of their actions that occur off duty are recognized by legislators in our state. The governor reached out to our office a couple weeks ago when he saw an incident that occurred last month? October. That finally made social media rounds. And I'm going to ask Mr. Barfield Jr. to my right to describe the incident and what his actions were on that day, if you would.
Oh, man.
No pressure.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I was driving to trick or treat when I came upon a car that had been involved in a wreck with another vehicle. Sorry, this medicine's wearing off a little bit. The first vehicle had obviously rolled over a few times. Had some victims in it. Had 3 children, 2 of which were freed up of their seatbelts, and I helped get them out of the car. And then the third child was I want to say a 5-month-old toddler in a car seat, which I had to get inside of the car and get him out. Then I had to get the mother out at the passenger seat who had broken femurs and all that. But the father, the one driving the car, had a pretty severe head laceration and wasn't breathing, so I cleared his airway and then helped, when the ambulance got there, to cut him out of the vehicle and get him in the ambulance to the hospital. And then the 2 guys in the other truck just kind of helped with those. I think one of them had a broke leg, so just doing IVs and stuff like that. But
Where Mr. Barfield is too shy or too humble to say, he helped save 7 lives that day on the side of the road before any responders got there. On his way home from work or on his way trick-or-treating. His actions were recognized by the governor, and I appreciate the mayor bringing him here today, to have him here with his family. In addition to all of this, yesterday afternoon, he had emergency surgery for an issue with his jaw. There's no medication here this morning, but is standing here today. His father, Mr. Barfield Sr., is a recognized member with our department for how many years?
24 years.
24 years as an officer in our department. They bring a legacy of not only tradition, but excellence to our organization. And it's my privilege to bring them here before you today.
Richard, let me just say on behalf of all the citizens of Columbus, now this occurred up in Harris County, but I can't tell you how proud we are of you and how grateful we are that there's folks like you and the men and the women standing behind you that take care of the people in this community. And again, what you just kind of, it's almost like you hate to share it. and we appreciate you getting up away from that surgery and coming up here to let us know so that we could share with the community exactly the kind of people that are involved in our Columbus Fire and EMS, because you are emblematic of all of the men and women that work in that agency. So if you would, council, let's thank Mr. Barfield for his. Richard, you want to come? One more thing. If you'd walk around, let us all shake your hand.
Thank you.
Chief, thank you.
Well, today I have the opportunity to share with you a little bit about what's going on with the Fire and EMS Department. I call it a state of the Fire Department, Fire and EMS Department. I'm not going to get too far into the weeds and all the things we have going on, but I do want to share with you all some highlights about what's going on in our organization and bring you up to speed on some critical initiatives, highlight some opportunities, and feel free to ask any questions that you like. For those of you who don't know, for those who are watching who may not know, our organization is an all-hazards response agency. That means we respond to any type of emergency, aside from law enforcement directed entities. We have 14 fire stations spread out over the 220 square miles. Our authorized strength is 433 personnel. That includes civilian and sworn. We are an ISO Class 1 entity. ISO is the Insurance Services Organization. That is the entity that rates our city in terms of our insurance capacity, our fire response capability, and our dispatch capability. They rate us on a scale from 1 to 10, with 1 being the best. We are a number 1. We have been a number 1 for some time now. We are also an accredited agency by the Center for Fire Accreditation International. We have been accredited for over 27 years. There are other 30,000 fire departments in the United States. We are one of about 24 that are both accredited as long as we've been accredited and an ISO 1. So we're very proud of that. We consider ourselves a world-class company. This is our organizational chart. Truly should be flipped upside down because my job is to serve the members of this organization as well as this community. But you can see there I'm supported by my assistant chief, 5 deputy chiefs, a business analyst, 2 division chiefs, as well as a host of other folks in the organization that really do the yeoman's work of our organization. I'll share with you 3 highlights of our organization, the top 3, I guess. I will start out by saying that we are what's called a Gold Helmet Fire Department, the first Gold Helmet Fire Department in the state of Georgia. We have been recognized by the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health for enrolling more than 50% of our members in the registry for firefighter cancer, so that we constantly evaluate our exposure to cancer and what we can do about that. We were the first, again, one of the first in the state to be recognized with that designation. There are about 100 in the United States that are Gold Helmet Fire Departments. But I'm going to talk specifically about our Columbus Correct Care program, our staffing, and our facilities. I'll start with Columbus Correct Care. It's a program you all should be familiar with. This has been a godsend for our community, and I appreciate the mayor allowing me to utilize the Mayor's Commission on Health as kind of the platform for rolling out this program. What you see there on the screen are our first 2 mobile units that have gone out and are serving our community today. On the right-hand side is the SUV, the first unit that we put in service last year. We put that, it's called Care 1. We put that unit in service in February of last year, and its primary mission was to serve and to respond to our high utilizers, our folks who called our service the most. We staffed that unit with a paramedic from our department that you all funded through the Indigent Care Fund, the Community Care Fund as it is now, as well as a nurse practitioner from Mercy Med. That person is on there. They run Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and they respond to calls throughout the week. On the left-hand side is the unit that we just launched earlier this year, in February of this year. That unit is staffed with a paramedic from our department, a police officer from CPD, and a mental health clinician there on the far left from Valley Healthcare. All three of those are part of the community care funding. Both of those vehicles were funded through grants. Excuse me, the first one was funded through a grant from the congressional directed spending. The second one was funded through ARPA funds last year. I'll give you some detail. This program has become so successful, it has become a national model. We were recognized by the National Association of Counties as an Achievement Award winner for the program. Most recently, we were recognized by the Columbus Chamber of Commerce for our Community Impact Award. Very proud of the men and women that work in this unit and who provide the services that they do for our community. This is just kind of a snapshot of what you might see on their screen. Every day they have a digital dashboard that kind of captures the calls that they're running for that day. It varies from day to day. Please don't get caught up in the numbers. I hope I have, nope, they did not load my version 2. I will share with you some data that did not get loaded on the screen. In a year's time, for the first care unit, that first unit was designed to focus on our high utilizers. That unit has responded to hundreds of calls. Of the calls of the 200 and some odd folks enrolled in the program, that started out enrolled in the program, not all of them stayed in. We asked them to commit to a period of time to stay in the program. Not all of them stayed in. But those that did, we saw a 66% decrease in the number of times they called 911. 66% decrease in the number of times. These are people who called 5, 10, 40, 50 times a year. That has a direct impact on our organization. That's the number of times an ambulance goes out, a fire truck goes out to support their needs, which quite often, quite frankly, are not emergent in nature. The second vehicle, by the way, that resulted in about just under $200,000 a year savings in terms of raw numbers. The second vehicle, which has only been in service about a month and responds to psychiatric emergencies, they responded to over 40 some odd psychiatric emergencies. I think it was 49, if my numbers are not mistaken. Historically, every single one of those people, whether went to the ER or more likely to the jail. Of those people that we saw, not a single one of them went to the jail. 6 of them went to the ER because they had a medical condition they had to be treated for. The rest were treated by emergency services or provided or sent to the Bradley Center for the appropriate treatment. That is a massive, significant impact in our organization. These are people, again, who would be occupying jail cells who don't need to be in jail cells. These are people who would be occupying beds in the ER who do not need to be in the ER. These are people who have psychiatric emergencies that are being handled by this group of folks. The third component of this program is a component called Right Site. What Right Site is 911 with your emergency. What happens is the dispatcher can forward that call to the appropriate, to a doctor without having to send emergency services out on the street. So we implemented that late last year, fourth quarter of last year, and that has resulted in a number, I wish I had the slide in front of me, a number of folks who have been diverted from emergency services directly to a doc in the box, if you will, or a virtual doctor without having to send an ambulance, without having to send a fire truck to those calls and freeing those resources up for other calls. So I want to share with you that program is working magnificently. It is very well respected. The community members who participate in that program love it. I will share also that this year we received a federal grant from the Congressionally Directed Spending Fund for our third unit that we hope to staff in next year with a social worker and a paramedic. It was a $200-something-thousand grant that will pay for the vehicle and all the stuff that goes in the vehicle. So we're very excited about that. I just want to share with you that that program is working very well, and I apologize the slides did not get loaded.
And Chief, I'll make mention that the slides are on our PowerPoint, so I'd urge council to go back and look at those.
Very good. I know there's a lot of data on those slides, and if there's questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Turning to our staffing, our organizational staffing, we are well-staffed today. As you can see there, we are actively, we have 382 members that are in service today. We have 28 that are getting ready to start class, recruit class in the first part of April. We'll have about 13 vacancies after that is over with. Of those, 10 of them are civilian. Our staffing is not our challenge. We had a high number of applicants this year, but we do keep the bar high. This is our challenge. Our attrition rate is staggering. If I were to hire 100 firefighters today, based on this data in front of you, 1 year from now, 30 of them will have left the organization for one reason or another. Within 2 years, another 10 will have left the organization for one reason or another. And after 5 years, 55 of the 100 will still be here. And we've done a deep dive into why these folks leave the organization. I'm not losing members of our organization to LaGrange Fire Department or Opelika Fire Department or Auburn Fire Department. That is not really the challenge. I do lose a few every now and again to Fort Benning, but we can't compete with their pay. What I lose people to is, this is not for me. I'm going to my wife or my spouse got a job in Tennessee and I'm following that person to wherever they are going. This is not what I thought it was. The challenge is for every single person that we hire, we provide an $800 physical. We provide almost $2,000 in custom fitted gear that may or may not fit the next person. So we run into that becomes a problem in budget time when we run out of money for annual physicals. So we are keenly aware of this challenge. We have done a number of things to address this challenge. We will continue to address this challenge as best we can. I'll talk to fire agencies across the country. We are not alone in this challenge. But this represents the last 5 years of about 300 employees that we hired. 55% are still with us 5 years later. There are a number of folks who do not make it through the recruit academy for one reason or another. Physical fitness, mental acuity, disciplinary issues. Again, the bar is high. We keep it high, but this is part of the price we pay. In terms of facilities, you all are probably keenly aware. We opened up fires. Yes.
I'm sorry,
Yes,
excuse me, I overlooked Councilor Garrett is waiting to.
Just a quick question, Chief,
Yes, sir.
because I know obviously some of this is salary issues, but for perspective for us, how much do we spend when these people leave within less than a year, and then the other 10 firefighters, I have 100 that leave at 1 year, how much are we spending on training that we're losing, that if we were to reinvest in the program, it would be a wash?
It's a great question. I'm going to give you a wild guess, if you will. If we lose an individual in the first year, we have spent, I'm not counting salaries, we spent in excess of $45,000, $50,000 just in training and resources. And I'm talking about bunker gear, uniforms, physicals, all the things that we do, training time. That's what we lose out the gate. If we were able to keep them, we do lose some to other services, but mostly to other professions. So like, I'm not making what I could be making doing X. And I thought this was fun, but this is challenging work, and I'd rather go do this other job and make more money.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
It does. I mean, it's a significant amount of money that,
Oh, it is significant.
if we could redistribute it into higher wages, it would probably
It would help.
help. Okay.
Significantly, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Earlier this month, we opened up Fire Station 5. That was part of a SPLOST project. Oops, sorry about that. Fire Station 5 was part of a SPLOST project that we opened up, about a $5 million initiative. That is in kind of 6600, Lynch Road. That station is now open and functioning. That was our first SPLOST project associated with this last SPLOST. We, of course, opened up our new headquarters building on 1100 Veterans Parkway last month as well. That facility is now operational. Other SPLOST-funded renovations in the pipeline. Next up is Fire Station 8 on Whittlesey Boulevard. That fire station was built in 1978, and is slated for renovation. In addition to Fire Station 4, which looks exactly like the one you see in the picture there. That station was built in 1970. Both of those stations are slated for renovation this summer. We anticipate construction will begin in the first quarter of FY27, with project completion in the calendar year of 27. Also in this current SPLOST is Fire Station 6 is supposed to be renovated. However, I will share with you that when the numbers were put together for the renovation of these stations, that was several years ago. Costs have gone up dramatically, and we are running into a challenge associated with having money left over to do Station 6. We will work on that with city staff and try to do the best we can, but that is part of this SPLOST initiative. 5 years ago, or almost 6 years ago now, when I first came to the organization, I met with every member of the department, going around to different stations on multiple meetings to determine what the challenges were in the organization. I repeated that process earlier this year. I figured it was about time. It was 5 or 6 years down the road. We had a massive turnover in the organization, so I needed to go back out into the field and determine what's going on in the department, what things are working well, what things are we challenged with, and what can we do to make this better. So I called them Chief Chats, listening, learning, and leading. And the goal was to inform our work plan for the next year and to inform our strategic plan coming up beginning next year, to align our organizational priorities and prepare for this briefing. I held 42 sessions, and there were 4 overarching findings with about 12 feedback themes. I'm not going to go into those today, but I will share with you kind of the broad strokes, if you will. The culture of our organization is extremely positive. Extremely positive. The department feels like they are proud and moving forward. These are not my words. These are the words of the membership that I compiled over those 42 sessions. So our culture is in good shape. Our structural sustainability is in good shape for the most part, with the exception of areas that I just mentioned associated with retention. Stability has improved in most areas. And that's, again, words from the membership of the organization. We do have operational vulnerabilities that are associated with staffing and primarily associated with, we are a very young department today. A significant number of our membership is very, very young, and so we have young folks supervising young folks. So that is a challenge for us. As I mentioned, we did do a strategic plan a couple years ago. We are 90% done with that strategic plan. You can see the slide there, 76 tasks total, 66% of them are complete, but the last 10 will be completed over the course of the next 12 months before we execute our next strategic plan. Most of the unfinished work is concentrated in goal number 4, which has to do with technology and data. We are doing better in technology, but we are struggling in terms of getting our data together because we lack the tools in terms of our software. We are unable to acquire software, which makes it challenging to manipulate the data. And then the other one was in goal 3, health and wellness, which is an ongoing issue that we are addressing, and I'll talk a little bit more about here in a couple of minutes. Where we have opportunities as an organization are twofold. And I want to spend a couple of minutes on this. Our fleet is challenged in a number of ways. When I first came to the organization, I was handed the keys to a fleet that was fairly well decimated. We have turned things around with the help of this council, and I want to thank you for that. We have bought a lot of fire trucks. The challenge is we have so many that are in bad shape. We just have not been able to keep up with the number that we need to buy. So what you see there, and I'll focus more towards the bottom is our heavy apparatus. These are our fire engines, our ladder trucks, our squad trucks. 17 of the 44 of those units are at risk, which means they are in need of replacement or will be in need of replacement by the time their replacement arrives. If I order a fire truck today, it takes 4 years for it to arrive. 4 years. That is a significant challenge that has decimated the fire service industry across this country. That is not endemic to Columbus alone, but is a system-wide problem. It is a manufacturing problem. We are addressing it at the national level, but there is no short-term relief, and this is going to be a problem that's going to stay with us for years. Challenge for us is that we have so many units that need to be replaced, and if we don't replace them on a regular, consistent basis, we get behind, and then when it takes 4 years to get a truck, that's a compounding problem. So you see there, 7 of our 16 engines are needed to be replaced. 4 of our 7 ladder trucks need to be replaced. 3 of our 3 rescues need to be replaced. We have 2 service units need to be replaced. We've done well with our medic units. The challenge with our medic units is we put so many miles on them every year because they are running nonstop. Our ambulance service is running nonstop. We have currently 10 of our units are on the street. We are partnering still with 2 private services to help supplement while we await the addition of a reserve fleet before we can staff the rest of the units. This is a challenge because fire apparatus are expensive. To buy an engine today is about $1 million. To buy a ladder truck today is about $2 million. Or a rescue today is about $2 million. And we expect a good useful life of about 10 years. We have spent an enormous amount of time doing things that we try to do from the preventative maintenance side to extend the life of these units and to make sure that we move them around the city so that we take them when they get, midway through their life out of busy stations, put them into stations that are less busy to try to extend their life. But this is a challenge that we have got to get on. Otherwise, in a few years, we're going to be facing a significant challenge where we won't have fire trucks for fire stations. The acquisition cycle of 48 months for fire trucks and 2 years for ambulances is not going to change anytime soon, not as long as I'm probably here. And so we've got to figure out how to address this. I just want you to be aware of it because it is a significant issue for us, and it's probably our #1 challenge that pains our personnel when we have apparatus that go down and they have to swap into a reserve truck and our reserve trucks don't work. So just know that we are aware of this, and I share it with you to make sure that you're aware of it. It is a big problem. Over the last few years, I've worked very closely with this council, and I want to thank this council, the mayor, for allowing us to achieve pay parity with our law enforcement partners. That was a big thing for our membership. However, over the last year, that pay parity has been eroded, and our members recognize that and are concerned about that. And so I ask for your consideration to consider that as we move forward. So where do we go from here? As a fire chief, I'm here to say that our organization is transitioning to transformational. We have stabilized most of the areas that we can stabilize. Things that are out of our control have to do with fleet and have to do with retention, but we will continue to work diligently on those. We can't go forward without remembering where we came from. On the slide in front of you are Jacoby Smith and Brittany Zerwick, who are 2 firefighters. There were 2 firefighters that I hired, and both of them took their life last year. We'll never forget them, and so we have to do our best to focus on mental health, and so we are hyper-focused on our mental health. There's a small component in our budget ask this year that focuses specifically on this issue. It is something our membership is keenly aware of. It's something our leadership is keenly aware of. I have great people doing great things in this space. We need a little bit of support to continue this work, but it is not lost on us, and it is our #1 priority. The other thing that we're focused on is expanding our Digital Vanguard initiative. We are trying to move us to the 21st century and enhance the safety and well-being of our membership by employing robots where it's appropriate and employing drones where it's appropriate. So we will focus on that. The challenge with this is some of this stuff is expensive. And so we are actively seeking grants to acquire robotic technology, but they are few and far between, and they're just difficult to get. So we will continue to pursue those because that is the future. I'm very blessed and to be surrounded, and thank you to this council for providing me a business analyst and a data analyst that will allow us to really move forward with robust data synthesis. And what that will allow us to do is to justify what we do, our asks, allow us to bring you data to support our requests, because I think that's important. And I think the community wants to know why we asked for some of the things that we'd asked for. In addition to that, we want to be able to utilize data to support our operations personnel in the field. And so you'll be seeing in a few months, we have an initiative called the Maverick. That vehicle will come before you for some funding to outfit it. We've already got the vehicle, we've got to outfit it, but basically it's a vehicle that rolls around the city on our significant incidents and provides drone support and robotic technology support for our incident commanders. So we're excited to move that initiative forward, but we've got to get our data synthesized to do that. On the left-hand side of your screen, if you were to Google Fire Station 4 prior to a year ago, that was the photo you saw for Fire Station 4 in Google Maps. There's nothing we can do about that. It's just what it was, because that truck was in such disrepair. But I need your support in terms of fleet replacement. We have got to get a handle on our fleet with over 30% of our fleet needing to be replaced and a 4-year turnaround time. That's not sustainable. On the right-hand side is the pay parity I spoke of earlier. Again, that's something our folks are keenly aware of, and we would appreciate your support in restoring that for our membership. Lastly, I want to say it is not me that does all these things. It is we. I am blessed to be surrounded by an excellent staff, many of whom are sitting behind me today. I could not do this without them. We could not do this without you. And so I want to thank you, this community, Mayor, for your support, and the members behind me and the men and women of this organization for bringing us to this place here today. Again, I apologize for the slides, but I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
We've got a few questions. Mr. Anker?
Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned you have a very young staff. Do you happen to know or take a wag at the average age?
I do. You remember what that was? Remember what the percentage was offhand?
Oof,
Yeah.
yeah. That's a young staff. You know, it used to be we were worried we didn't have enough youngsters in the group. And so there's some goods that come behind that, but I recognize that. How do we maintenance our vehicles? You know, I hear the need coming, and we've done a lot together. You praise the council here for investing in that. And what do we do to maintain those vehicles? Is that at the city's maintenance department, or do you have your own mechanics, or is it a combination? Do we outsource those?
It's a combination of a lot of things. When I first got here, I tried to broker an agreement with Fort Benning to facilitate repairs, because they have what they call EVTs, emergency vehicle technicians, at their facility. We were never able to get that off the ground. And at that time, our 2 fleet mechanics in Public Works retired, so we had nobody. Since then, our Public Works has really stepped up and has helped us, supported us with providing repairs, but we also outsource a lot to a couple of private vendors, and that comes at a cost.
Are they in Georgia? Are they around?
Yes, Sun Chevrolet, which is one of our primary ones. And then we have 2 others that are in Georgia that are.
And I heard loudly that the pay parity, you didn't say it loudly, but I hear that. Were you comparing it to CPD and other things in public safety? What were you comparing parity?
Yeah, a couple of years ago, about 3 years ago, we achieved pay parity with CPD and SO. But over the last year or so, that's kind of been eroded. Again, my folks are keenly aware of that.
All right. And then I was interested in more about mental health, but I'll ask those offline. And then I made some comments at the back room one time in a group of public safety, and you were in the room, and it was the warden and sheriff, and I just said, hey, look, is there anything we can do? And I kind of want to, these comments might have flown off a little bit. I have a tendency to do that, but I said, is there any way we could save 2% a year for the next 3 years? And I said it to y'all's group, and I want to clarify this, because I do want the budget moving forward to find ways to save money. But I agree with a lot of the leaders on this table that public safety is at the forefront, and we can't skimp when it comes to serving our citizens. And so, but what I hear in this is that you are saving money. I hear the community care, the ways that you're smarter about that. I see the need for more data to help us drive more efficiency with the robots, with the drones. I see the retention plan opportunity that we talk about, spending the 45 grand, training up people. And there's a lot of reasons that people leave. It's not all pay. But I just want to clarify that I think I made those comments because I make them to everybody. I think it's fair. And I think we always have to look to be smarter and better with our money.
Yes.
And I hear the needs, and I also see the value. And that's where I want to end. I think you're an excellent leader. And I feel very humbled to say that because I watched you. I saw you come in. I've seen you at the fire stations after hours with flip-flops and shorts. When you first came here, I watched you, and you went around and you listened. You didn't direct. You took notes. It seemed like forever. And I see your head staff that's behind you here, and I see the new recruits coming in, and I talk to them, and I'm just very impressed with the culture. And you kind of led with those 2 green things and then the yellow risk areas. And I commend you, and it's not you, it's all of you.
Yes, sir.
And I think this staff resembles a staff that the whole city can look up to, the citizens and the private enterprises. Y'all have a great team. I think that money's always important, but I think a lot of the people that do what you do it because they're great at it. And, you know, I wish Byron was here today because I remember him telling me, Councilor Hickey, that he was a fireman and he ran into the first fire. And he said, John, I knew this wasn't for me and I had made a mistake.
Yeah.
But he didn't mind carrying a long rifle and going out and handling the gangs. He was good at that. He realized. So part of our retention isn't always money, but when you lead a good culture like that, I'm saying maybe too much, but I just say thank you. Thank you to all of you sitting on the front row. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Councilor Chambers?
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
First of all, thank you and your team for all that you do. My son is a firefighter up in Atlanta.
Yes, sir.
So, I mean, hats off to you. I do have a quick question. I know you stated that it takes 4 years to receive a new fleet at anywhere from $1 to $2 million per truck. I guess my question, how do we have to pay that money up front if it takes 4 years? Or do we maybe pay half?
Right. There are opportunities, and I've had conversations with our finance director, there are opportunities to pay up front. If you do that, you receive a discount. If you pay up front and get a prepay, as they call it, prepaid discount. There are lease opportunities as well, where we have the opportunity, if there's bandwidth within the city finances, to lease a vehicle. And we've done that in the past successfully. But we have to remember that it's not only the fire service that is leasing vehicles. Public Works leases vehicles and perhaps Parks and Rec. So I work directly with finance director to make sure that what our leasing capacity is doesn't negatively impact our bond rating. So the other alternative is we can pay on delivery. We put a down payment in, we request an order, we have here's our purchase promise to pay. We're going to pay you when the truck comes in 4 years from now. But the reality is that's very difficult for some of you, like 4 years. I may not be here in 4 years. So those are the options. The other thing that we are doing, I do want to say, we're also looking at ways, how can we save the wear and tear on our apparatus by not sending a fire truck to that type of call. So for example, in our Care 1 vehicle, one of the things we want to do with that vehicle is start looking at how can we pivot, since we've addressed our high volume utilizers, how can we pivot and send that vehicle out to address our low acuity calls, or minor calls, that perhaps doesn't make sense all the time to send a fire truck to and an ambulance, and just sit in an SUV with 2 people. So we're looking at that. There are models around the country for that. There are pros and cons associated with that. So to answer your question, yes, there are multiple ways we can pay, and we employ all of them. Okay. Quite frankly, I rely very strictly on the advice of the finance director which direction to go.
Okay. And last question, I think I heard you made the comment that there was a challenge acquiring software.
Yes, sir.
Can you expound on that?
Well, you know, it's like anything in our budget. We have a list that's this long, and our budget's this long, and so usually software's below the cut line. It's just the way it is, and I don't think it's anything specific. It's certainly nothing that IT is doing, or it's just when we have priorities, our priorities are, do we need a fire truck, do we need software? We need a fire truck. So software tends to get dropped toward the bottom, which creates challenges for us in terms of data synthesis.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for your leadership.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Chief, that's all the questions. Thank you so much for the update. Thank you for allowing us to give a round of applause to Ms. Bearfield, too.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
You can clap.
So next on the work session agenda is Lindsay, the clerk of council, to provide an update.
All right. We've got Counselor Tucker.
I just wanted to make a statement. I just wanted to make a statement. One of the things that people notice in Chief Scarpa and his team is that they go above and beyond in regards to not just the fire department, public safety aspect, but the community care and the health and resource fair that you do. And I just want to publicly thank you. We will be hosting a health and resource fair on September 26th at Shirley B. Winston. And Chief Scarpa and his team were the first ones to step up and say they would help because they've been doing them, throughout the city. So I just want to publicly thank you because I didn't realize how much work it takes in the background to make that happen. But thank you for you and your team for doing that, especially for that area, because that was one of the things that people in my district was saying that we don't have stuff over there and they have to always go out. So I just want to thank you publicly for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Good morning.
Good morning.
It feels very odd seeing everybody from this angle, so forgive me. I wanted to come before you today to provide an update on our operations in the Clerk of Council's office. As everyone knows, in July, I requested a transition audit for our department. I wanted to be the one to request that for two reasons. One being that this is the normal process when there is a change in leadership in departments. And I wanted to make it very clear that our office is not exempt from the processes and the policies of all CCG departments. And two, I wanted to have some kind of documentation of where we were then. And then so I could come back later and say, well, this is where we are now. And, I don't want to say show off, but, all excited, balloons, all of that. So quickly, there's a few things that I wanted to go over. I don't want to sit here and just throw a bunch of information at you. This is what we do. We have documents from the floor to the ceiling. Yes, all of that is very true. But I wanted to give everyone, provide a different look, a different perspective of the clerk's office, because we do much more than just come to meetings with our pens, our paper, and smile, pass things out. There's much more to it. The majority, no one sees. No one hears about. We sit here quietly, except when I decide to speak out without pushing my button, Mr. Mayor. But there's so much that goes into it, and we play a huge role in this city government. No one really knows that, but we do. We keep the ball rolling. Finance can't, get contracts rolling unless we have our documents done. And trust me, if we don't have them done in a timely manner, I don't know if y'all know Andrea, but she's calling. And she's wanting to know where they are. Why aren't they online? We need them now. So we all have to work together to keep everything running as smoothly as possible. So this morning, I want to share information about our team, our role, duties, services, what we've done in the past year, improvements that we've made, enhancements to our operations, our strategic approach, if you will. I want to share about the board retreat that was here just last month for GMCA, and then our commitment to the citizens. So first we have our team. Of course, you have me, the clerk, everybody knows me. We've got our deputy clerk of council, Tamika. I would make her wave at everybody, but Tamika is my right hand in everything. She is involved in every single aspect of our office. Previously, the deputy clerk was not always included. And so when I would get asked questions, I couldn't give an answer. Ultimately, I'm just standing there, just blank. I hate saying I don't know. I want to give you something. Whether I can give you whatever information I have or say, you know what, let me check on that, I'm gonna get right back to you. I don't like not being prepared. So I throw a bunch of information at Tamika, bless her heart. And I have to say, she is probably under the most pressure in our office. Yes, I'm the one sending emails and everything at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, but she is not only having to learn the duties as the deputy clerk, but she's also expected to know my job and be prepared to jump in at a moment's notice. That's a lot, because when you're not used to doing it all the time, it's very intimidating. I remember the first time coming before council or even having to do the agenda. I don't know if I've ever been more nervous in my entire life, because I'm like, I'm going to mess this up. Everybody's going to see me. Everybody's going to think I'm an idiot. Now I can make an idiot out of myself, and I'm perfectly fine with that. But I can say that she has taken on this role with grace and determination, and I couldn't ask for anything better. So don't start crying on me. Next, we have the assistant deputy clerk. This is Brittany, and she handles our boards, commissions, and authorities. I'm happy to say we went from 43 to 42. We hope to continue to bring that number down, because that is a lot of boards. She's also deserves the credit in getting so many boards into compliance with their minutes. Brittany knows how to keep pushing, and she's trying to make sure that everybody is in line, and wherever she can help, she's jumping in there. Then we have our support clerk. That is Latricia. She's right there pictured on the end. She keeps the ball rolling. She handles all of the little bitty things that we don't necessarily have the time and sometimes the mental capacity to even deal with. She is also the one that ensures that all of our documents are available online for the public and our CCG employees. And before I forget, she did recently graduate from the CCG Leadership Academy, so we're very proud of her for that. And as far as the records being put online, in less than 2 months, Latricia, with some help from our deputy clerk and assistant deputy clerk, she had to download 13,040 documents from our old system to be able to bring them over to our new system. That was from 1971 to 1991, and that was mainly just resolutions. I don't know what they had going on back then, but there was over 600 resolutions pretty much every year. So 13,000 in less than 2 months on top of her normal duties. So that was quite remarkable. The role that we play. The clerk of council is the essential backbone of local government. We bring our citizens, our CCG departments, and our governing body together while upholding integrity, accountability, our favorite word, transparency, and trust. We are the core of effective government. What are our key functions? We support City Council as the quote-unquote administrative arm. We are the staff of City Council. Y'all don't realize, but we take calls from your constituents every single day. We try to direct them which department they need to speak to in order to handle their issue. Sometimes they're done. They want to talk to their counselor. Yes, of course, here's their phone number, here's their email, but we try to help them. A lot of times when citizens get to our department, they either don't know where to go, they don't know who they need to speak to, or they're very frustrated and they feel like they're being passed from one department to another. That's not to say that that's necessarily what's happening, but sometimes it's difficult to get a clear understanding of what it is that they need, what they're seeking. And so We sit there on the phone with them. It can be 30 minutes. It can be, 10 minutes if we're lucky, trying to get the information to try to see where we need to send them because we don't want to keep sending them around. So we are right there in the trenches with you, trying to help your citizens. And so, we are your staff ultimately. We also do letters for council. We handle the travel accommodations. We have done 9 in the past year. There is a lot that goes into this. We have to make sure that we have a travel authorization form included on our agenda because we want to make sure that we stay in line with the processes that have been set by council. We have to get all the information as far as the figures, your hotel, your registration. Sometimes there is airfare. All of that information, we try to pull it together. And of course, there is a limit. There is a $3,500 limit to what counselors can spend within a fiscal year. We keep up with that as best as we can. There has been some and it's on my side, trying to juggle everything. And so we have come up with a new worksheet to try to better keep up with that because, of course, what's listed on the authorization form for council's approval is not the final figures. So once we get that in, we have to make sure that, we're handling the account accordingly. Because not only do we handle our budget, we also handle yours. So I have to submit our budget and the council's budget to finance. And then if there's any kind of request that we need to do, we have to do all that documentation. If I need to go and ask the mayor for money, then I do that on your behalf. Luckily, I didn't have to do that this time. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. Next, we maintain official records and we ensure compliance with legal requirements. This is especially when it comes to our minutes. We have summary minutes and we have the official minutes. Summary minutes are due within 2 business days after adjournment. In our office, we say 48 hours. So even though we may be dragging in the next morning, we are jumping on those summary minutes because when I tell you those citizens are looking for them, I think there's some sitting there hitting refresh until we get them on there, and then they're making sure that we are doing what we are supposed to do. Our official minutes, of course, we have to have them attached to our agenda. They have to be listed for the very next meeting, so especially when you go from a night meeting when we adjourn at 10:30 something, I believe, we have to have those minutes done on Friday with that final agenda. And so we have to make them available to you and the public for you to approve and for them to review. It can be quite hectic at times. Then within the past year, and when I say the past year, I mean from March 25th, 2025 to last Tuesday, we have had 559 council documents that we have processed. That includes our minutes, ordinances, and resolutions. Next, we facilitate public access to information and government processes. This is, not only the documents that we provide, but we also try to share as much information about how their government works. Like I said, they get frustrated because they don't always understand. Sometimes I don't understand and I need to reach out to another department for them to guide me. I don't want to just send somebody off. I want you to tell me how this works so I can try to help the other department as much as I can. We coordinate the boards, commissions, and authorities, and as far as the public meetings for them, they have to send their meeting notices to us. We're talking about 42 boards. They have to send all their meeting notices to us. We have to send a request to IT for them to post that meeting on CCG's website, on the city events calendar. Because just like council, they have to provide sufficient public notice that they are holding a meeting because it is open to the public, just like council. So when we're juggling all these other things, we're trying to help them stay in compliance as well. And so ultimately it falls on us. Then we manage critical documentation, which of course is your ordinances, resolutions, minutes, and so on and so forth. The clerk is also responsible for housing or being the custodian of contracts, MOUs, leases, everything that are approved by resolution. Next, we have our services. Of course, we have our public agenda that we manage. We have had 239 public agenda applications within the last year. These are only the ones that were processed and actually listed. There are many that unfortunately I have to deny. And trust me, they do not like me very much on those days. I have to share the 60-day rule, and, and citizens, they're very clever because they will play on the words when it comes to their topics. And so, I have to tell them, I'm sorry, but this is the rule and we have to be consistent across the board. I can't let one go and then the next one I tell them that they can't. And then guess what? Somebody's posting on Facebook. And then they're going to be, comparing stories about how the clerk is letting one person go or showing favoritism, but they wouldn't let this other one. And we don't have time for that. So, of course, city council, we are the staff. Information, I told you about as far as the records and the over 13,000 records that were posted. Boards, commissions, and authorities. Over the past year, just in council alone, there has been 226 actions taken as far as our boards. That's appointments, reappointments, resignations, declaring a seat vacant, nominations being submitted, all of those, and every single one of those, there is a process to go along with it. There is also our cemeteries. We maintain the ownership records for our city cemeteries. We process ownership transfers. We also have to do interment authorizations before any burial can take place in our city cemeteries. And previously, we issued deeds. I'm unsure what the process is going to be in the future. I just know that the current system, it doesn't work. It's 2026. We shouldn't be using index cards to record information when it comes to our cemeteries. And when you have a system that is antiquated and you have a family calling, they're grieving, they've just lost a loved one, they don't want to hear about all the extra steps that you have to take. They don't want to keep having to provide documentation. They just know someone they love has passed and they're having to do this nonsense in order to make arrangements. I get it. We have to do better in order to make this process smoother for them. This was interesting to me, and so I thought I would share it with everybody. We have our time analysis for council meetings. We all know how long the meetings can be. Every single one of us has dragged out of this chamber at one time or another. It feels like we've ran a marathon. And within 1 year, we have had 31 meetings. We have spent 139 hours in council meetings. This also does include budget review because, everybody up here is expected to attend those meetings. The part that no one knows is that it takes an additional 139 hours to re-watch the recordings in order to do the minutes. Yes, we have this nifty little thing that Councilor Kogel recommended to me, and we got it. It is amazing. It helps in so many ways. But when we have council meetings and there are a lot of referrals, we have to make sure that we go back and we're hearing what you are requesting. Because, yes, I don't mean to point Danielle out. Danielle is back there. She's writing this stuff down too, the referrals. And she's trying to make sure that the departments are providing this information to you. But we also have to make sure that it's recorded accurately in our minutes, because I've had counselors, hey, when did I make this referral? I know I made it a few months ago. I need to know when it happened. Okay, so we're going back and we're searching. Well, if we don't get it right, then we have to bother Danielle. Not only does Danielle have a lot to do with this happening right now, but she also has her own department to run. So we try our best to make sure that we have everything accurately, recorded on our part. This takes a lot of time because, trust me, we have to rewind it, listen, hold on, and I'm gonna pick on you, Counselor Crabb. What exactly did Counselor Crabb say right then? And then we have to sometimes go back to each other, like, did you get this? There's a lot that goes into it. And then when you have amendments that are taking place, we also have to make sure that we get that exactly right. Not only for our official minutes, but our summary minutes, because our summary minutes reflect any action that was taken during that meeting. And like I said, that is within 48 hours. So then we have our documents, 475 documents approved. That's our ordinances and resolutions. And every single document has to be processed. We have processing, signing, scanning, uploading, cataloging, all of that. And so it is an estimated 17 minutes per document. So in total, and this is just from the moment we walk in this room until we just have all the documents, everything processed, in 1 year, we have spent 412 hours on processing and handling this. And that's equivalent to over 10 work weeks. Of course, that does not go into our preparation as far as the agendas and then all the other requests that come after. And I just wanted to share, because I know some people think we're sitting there just waiting for our phone to ring. No, we're busy. We are hopping, I promise you. And so I just kind of wanted to share that with everybody and the public as well, because if I jump on that phone and I sound out of breath, this is why. So what does it take to be a city clerk? There are many things that we have to pay attention to. We have to pay attention to every single tiny detail. And in doing that, I have to know my counsel. I have to know the way you think when it comes to a lot of things, and that comes from, ultimately, I'm studying you. While I'm sitting here in this meeting and I'm watching the meeting, or we talk on the phone, or I'm getting an email, I am studying you. I'm knowing, what you want. I'm learning. I promise you, I can hear a certain thing, and I automatically know Counselor Tucker is gonna want this report that came last year. So I'm sitting here right then, getting it together and sending it to her, right then. Sometimes I might not be able to be that quick, so bear with me, but I need to know you. I need to know what you need and what you want, because it doesn't, and this is the thing that the citizens need to understand, it does not matter where you stand on a political issue. Every single counselor is my responsibility, and I'm going to take care of you to the best of my ability, period. I have a job to do, and I take that very seriously. So, not to put that out there, but I have definitely received several calls over the past probably 6 months about, me just providing something to somebody. And I have a job to do. That's it at the end of the day. I have nothing to do with votes that are taken in here or any of that. So please excuse me. I just wanted to take the opportunity to make that statement. We also have to have strong focus and organization. We have to have empathy and patience, especially for our citizens. Though somebody might not think that it's important that someone's trash got missed, it is important to that citizen. They want it picked up, and we have to help them, direct them to 311 to get them to get that work order and get that taken care of. Like I said, objectivity, professionalism. We have to have confidence and accountability. You have to have confidence when you are a clerk, because sometimes you have to give an answer to one of your bosses that they don't want to hear. That is a very uncomfortable situation, but it's what I have to do. And I have told some of the board secretaries, I have visited some board meetings that they walk all over that secretary, and I'm over there just losing my mind. I've had talks with those secretaries, and I have let them know, you have a role. If you know that something is not being handled properly, the proceedings, speak up. You are allowed to speak up and help guide them. That is why you are here. Yes, you're here to document the action that's taken and everything, but you have a voice. As long as you're respectful, then there should be no problem with it. I know there will be some people that will look at them crazy in the moment. I've had it happen to me. over here, but I have to that's my job to help make sure that everything is going the way that it needs to. The two most important people to a city councilor is your city attorney and your clerk. Everyone else is very important too, but we are the ones that are trying to make sure that everything is being handled legally and that you are in compliance. So I try to boost the secretary's confidence and get them the information that they need. I send it to their board members so that, if I'll be the bad guy, I don't mind. My phone number's listed right at the bottom of those information sheets. Give me a call. We can talk about it. Next, we have your openness to change and problem solving and creative thinking. We know that society has changed. The demands of our citizens has changed. They want access to everyone, to all of the information, and they want it as quick and easy as possible. We are trying to think of a way to handle that. Some people we can't please. I mean, we can't. We have regulations that we have to follow. Some information is not open to the public. I mean, that's just what it is. Some of it is protected under the Georgia Open Records Act. And so we have to make sure that we are educated on these statutes, and we can explain it to them. We need to have it right there because they don't want to hear, well, we just can't provide that to you. Why not? Okay, well, here you go. I'll be glad to send it to you. And usually it's squashed right there. But we have to adapt to what they expect of us, or, our public agendas. We're going to have 40 people on it because it's just, they don't accept this is the way it's always been done anymore. They want to see it in writing because the trust is broken. It's broken. From federal, state, local, it's everywhere. So we are trying to bridge that gap, to make it better, to, help them understand that this is the way that it goes. Explain the process. If they don't understand it, they don't trust you. And so we try to break it down. We can have experts, CEOs, all of that stand right here at this podium and get all this information. And some of it, I'm like, what in the world does that mean? Your citizens don't understand it. So we have to break down information in a way that they can digest it, and then we can ultimately build trust in the end. We have to build strong relationships. This is with our CCG departments, our partners, and we have certain departments that we work very closely with, our city manager's office, our mayor's office, and our city attorney's office. We all have to rely on each other. We have all had to cover each other's back at some point or another. Oh my goodness, I forgot to upload that document, or, whatever the case may be with the agendas. I'm not at my computer right now, and we help each other. That's what you're supposed to do, because there is a lot that goes into this, and all these people that are tucked here, there, and everywhere, they're the ones that make this happen, and it's a lot. And so we value those relationships, and we try to help each other as much as possible. You have to have drive, motivation, and you have to have a genuine love for your community. All right, our past year, I've gone over some of the things with you. Come on. All right, our focus areas for improvement. We have to strengthen our operations through team collaboration. We now hold team meetings every single week. In the beginning, I realized that, my team was only getting bits and pieces of me because I was so busy and just trying to figure everything out, trying to juggle everything, because I have 3 staff members that I'm having to cross-train. I had so much on me as the deputy clerk, and no one else knew how to do it except me. And so I was trying to get adjusted to the role as clerk while trying to cross-train them, but not suffocate them at the same time. And so we started having team meetings because, they deserve my attention. I'm not answering the phone. I'm not answering emails. I'm focusing on you. I want us to be successful. And now we make sure we do that. We all collaborate together. Everybody knows what everybody else is working on. And so everything runs a lot more smoothly now. And everyone, they're excited about what they're doing, which gets me all excited. So it's a wonderful thing to witness. We are enhancing our connections with citizens. We have been involved in events in the community. We all dressed up, all cute, and went to the Spooktacular and handed candy out to, I swear, it was 5,000 kids. It was nice to get out there in the community and represent not only our office, but to represent our council. We wanted to figure out how can we contribute to the overall success of CCG. We have done this through communication, education, that's not only with our citizens, but also our other departments. We needed to identify the needs. Number one, our citizens. Yes, we answer to council, but we do answer to our citizens. Next, we have our council, our CCG departments, and our boards, commissions, and authorities. How can we help you? How can we make your job easier? At the same time, we are going to try to figure out how to make it easy on us, but we want to help everyone in the city government be successful. Some of our operational enhancements that we have done, we have assessed what our existing processes were a year ago. We have eliminated tasks that nobody realized that they were pretty much doing the same thing. And because not everybody knew what the other one was doing, I mean, it was very surprising when we all sat down and talked about it. So we have eliminated a lot of that. We have simplified workflows, and we have redistributed duties for better efficiency. Brittany works on boards. Tamika handles council minutes. Trish, she handles uploading documents, as far as maintaining the office and all of that. Me, I'm here, there, everywhere, running around, ultimately like a chicken with my head cut off. Then we have started developing standard operating procedures. This is something that our office has never had. So that is going to be something that it's going to be ongoing. I had to realize in the beginning, I was pumped. We have all these ideas, we're gonna get it done. And then I'm like, wait a minute, this doesn't make sense, Lindsay. We're not gonna get all of this done, in the first year. It's not feasible. So it's gonna be an ongoing process. And so it's going to make things easier for us and for our office in the future. We have tried to take a strategic approach when it comes to all operations and trying to identify the needs of our citizens, council, departments, and boards. We are thinking outside of the box. One way that I can think, or the best example, is the board tracking newsletter that I sent to council here recently. We had to think of a way that we can get all of this important information about our boards, commissions, and authorities to those that need it. Our council, we have the mayor's office as far as scheduling the oaths. We have our boards, because I'm telling you, I will have in one day, and I was so exhausted, I thought I was gonna fall on the floor. I had 12 different boards contacting me and having ongoing conversations throughout the day. I had 4 counselors requesting information. I had an agenda due by the end of the day. It was a lot, and I'm like, okay, how can we eliminate all of the emails from the boards? Let's try to keep some kind of document that is constantly ongoing, but I need to keep council up on where we are. How can I don't want to keep updating a document and just sending it to them and be like, oh, I forgot. I got busy, I forgot. That's not acceptable. You need to know. And so my child's school, they do newsletters every single week, and it's the exact same link. They're just updating the information. And it's SMORE is the name of the website. And I'm like, oh, what if we can do this? Like, let's just try it. And I think it turned out well. We'll see, what the departments think about it. I'm hoping to get it out to them next week. And so we've tried to come up with different ideas such as that. We try our best to be proactive rather than reactive, though in the clerk's office, and our city attorney actually said it when I was passing the documents out, we have to put out a lot of fires. That's what we do. There's no getting away from that. And so it makes it difficult when you're trying to be proactive, but if we can have everything else together and in order, then we can handle those fires a little bit better. It's not as stressful, and we're steadily dropping things as we're running. something that we've said in the past years, we want to work smarter, not harder. And for somebody that is known to overthink everything, that is something I have had to just constantly tell myself. You didn't have to look at me like that, Tamika, thank you. I overdo everything, I overthink everything, it's my need to try to do my absolute best, and, that's just who I am. And so that's something that I keep telling the staff, I think I'm just telling myself, but, time is a luxury that we do not have in the clerk's office. And we welcome recommendations and feedback. I've sent emails to everyone. I also shared that board tracking newsletter with our administration. I want to hear from you. I want you to tell me if you think that there's something that we can improve on. Because, if you're not telling us, we don't know. And we want to do everything we can to help you, do your role, to provide information to citizens, put people on these boards. And also, I know Dr. Broadwater's not here, but we had a situation where he had put in a public agenda application. He said that it was put in for a certain date. Well, on Monday, he called me and let me know that he wasn't listed. When I looked at the system, there was a different date listed, but there was no way for us to determine, and it really doesn't matter whether it was our system or, maybe he picked the wrong date. But I did have to tell him, I'm sorry, but that final agenda has gone out. I can't add you now, which he was very understanding. So immediately I'm trying to think of, okay, how can we address this in the future? I contacted IT, let them know, hey, with every single confirmation that goes out for the public agenda, we need to make sure that the meeting date that they've selected is included in that, so we have something to refer back to. Because I can't tell another citizen, because trust me, they're looking at those agendas. They're looking at them, they're screenshotting, they're sharing posts about it. So if we have 23 people listed and then all of a sudden we have 24, yeah, they're gonna notice that. And so if I have that date on those confirmations, I can say, well, push my button, wait for the mayor to recognize me and just say, Mr. Mayor, there was some kind of system error, but our confirmation says that, Dr. Broadwater signed up for this day. There's no arguing with that. I have proof, I have documentation. So we try to get in front of these issues. And luckily, it was Dr. Broadwater, and he was not very upset with me. So that was nice. Our key resources is research, networking, social media, and training. We have been going and looking at other cities' websites. I will say that Chattahoochee County, their clerk, I love their website. There's so much on there. And I've, jotted down many ideas that I think would work for us. And so we are going to be working with IT to try to implement some of those changes. We have been networking not only with individuals in our community, but other clerks. Other clerks, yes, they may have small cities, counties, what have you, but they have a lot of very good ideas. And, that's what we do at clerks conferences. We bounce ideas off of each other. And, our board retreat the board retreat that we were invited to, I wouldn't shut up. I kept, I was asking questions. I'm trying to share ideas. I shared this and, I guess I talked too much, and then they wanted me to get up and, give a presentation about it, which was exciting but nerve-wracking at the same time. We are looking on social media. What are our citizens saying? Not everything that they're saying, but what information are they looking for? The city doesn't put this information out there for us to know or to see it. Sometimes it's already out there. They just don't know where to go. And so we're trying to help them navigate our website and just, put little snippets of information out there to help them. We are trying to connect with them on social media as real people. We're not robots. We're not, we're people just like them. We have the same daily struggles. We have families. We didn't get enough sleep, not enough caffeine, whatever the case may be. We are people just like them. And so putting certain things out on social media kind of makes everything real to them. Training. We have, in the past year, we have had 4 conferences and 18 online training sessions. Not only does this help educate us on the new requirements from the state, but it also helps us share ideas. I promise I'm almost done. Last month, we had the 2026 Georgia Municipal Clerks Association Board Retreat here in Columbus. Our mayor came and welcomed everybody to Columbus. Ashley with Visit Columbus also came and shared information about Columbus, even though we had a lot of them they were returning from, I believe it was 2 years ago, Tamika, am I right? About 2 years ago when IIMC had their conference here. They love Columbus. They were so excited to come back. And we had one lady, she's actually the clerk from St. Mary's. She ziplined when she came here 2 years ago, and she could not wait to do it again. And she was trying her best to talk to some of those other clerks into it. They weren't having it. But they love it. They want to come back here. They like downtown. Everything's walkable. We even did the, now I can't think of it, the Roll With Us. We did that because I went to dinner went to a comedy show, because clerks love to have fun. I'm going to tell you. They love to take those heels off and just have fun, and we had a ball. It's also very nice to be around people that understand the struggles that you have as a clerk, because I could sit here all day and throw numbers at you, but nobody has a clue of how much pressure it is. You have to love it or you're not going to make it. I promise you. I've seen some clerks over the years. There was one just at our past conference that she hadn't been a clerk 6 months, and she had to go. She couldn't handle it. And I get it, because, I mean, it's a lot. But you have to make a lot of sacrifices, and I know I'm speaking to the choir. Y'all make sacrifices every single day. Every single person up here, our directors, everybody, our families make sacrifices, and you have to love what you do, or you are just not going to make it. And I did want to say briefly, as I get ready to close out my last slide, since I started going to clerks conferences in 2015, you hear the exact same thing all the time. Their commission, their council, they don't respect them. They don't know what they're doing wrong. They've tried to do this, to do that. You know, they just ignore them and dismiss them. And I heard it again in February. And I mean, I had to tell them, you know, I can have complaints about some of the things with the city, maybe lack of resources for us, but we hadn't asked for those yet. But I cannot complain about my council. I cannot complain or sit here and say that I don't have the support or the respect of my council. And so I have to thank you for that, because I know if I call any one of you, then you're going to be there to listen to me and, you know, to help guide me. And so I appreciate you. I really do, because most clerks, they don't have the same feelings that I do. And lastly, our commitment moving forward, we are going to remain committed to striving for excellence. Mediocre, that's not acceptable to me. I can't. I'm known to overdo everything, and we're not going to strive for anything other than excellence. We are going to continue improving, and we're going to do that by embracing new ideas and working together for the betterment of our community. And I'm done. Thank you.
Lindsay, we do have one counselor, Counselor Tucker.
This was real nice, Lindsay. I wanted to, first of all, thank you. I want to add that this presentation could probably have been quadruple, because Lindsay, what's the oldest record that you have in your possession?
I believe 1846,
Okay, so
if I'm not mistaken.
So we have some very old records. And I don't know if you all saw that courthouse that recently burnt down, that historic courthouse. I was in Decatur, Texas, and this is a whole state legislator thing that we need to approach. But the state of Texas, because Decatur, Texas had the same incident in a courthouse where it was burned down, one of their historic courthouses. So the state put money in to preserve these files. If you go to the clerk's office, you will see what is it, a book of peoples or something like that? A book of peoples. And it has slave records in our clerk of councils. And it talks about who, it doesn't tell what the person is, but it talks about the actual owner. And it gives, like, the blind boy or whatever, it lists that. Those are the type of records. And we got property records too, where people are being sold with deeds. So this is the type of information that I know some people know, like Mr. Johnny Warner, who we will recognize at the next council meeting. But it's a lot of records that need to be preserved. And yes, it is a cost, and it's something that we could have submitted to our senators in reference to the congressional direct spending, because that's one of the items that they will approve for a grant. But we have so many historical documents locally, and that's why I said Lindsay did not even kind of scratch the surface of the work that she's doing, because she's preserving this. And then also, we didn't discuss records retention. That's something that we're gonna have to discuss. When I first joined the Air Force, I was the base records manager, and you have retention in Columbus. I know we have it on the state level. We have a retention schedule. We need to address the retention schedule for Columbus Consolidated Government so we can come up with the times. This is something I was doing in 1997 as a 19-year-old, thrown into Freedom of Information Act, open records, what we call, and records retention. So that's something that we must do, because you're liable based on the records that you have. So when you do records retention, it moves. And now, instead of you being liable to, you said 1848?
I believe it's 1846, but
46.
it may go back even farther than that.
Based on us not having a date where we preserve these records that can be pulled, they can request stuff all the way back to 1848. And these are things, and I appreciate Lindsay for having this conversation, because it's about records, preserving our records, records management and retention, and then also software. So I appreciate this presentation, and I know that when budget cycle comes up, I know we'll have some stuff in there, so.
Try not to ask for everything all at one time. But, and Counselor Tucker, you and I have talked a lot about records retention and stuff, and, there are so many open records requests that come through our city. I don't know how, our city attorney's office handles it, because there's only 2 employees that handle it. And unfortunately, because we are so bogged down, when you have a citizen that calls and they want documents and there's extensive research, we have to direct them to the city attorney, because we can't handle it. And if there's bits and pieces that they can, break off to the other departments, then it's going to help us out ultimately, but I will tell you, if we don't have all departments on board, I know there are some departments that follow the retention schedule for local governments, but if every single department is not in line with it, it makes their job so much more difficult, and trust me, it doesn't need to be any more difficult. And eventually something's going to happen. If we're not all, together in this, something's going to happen to where we either don't have a document that we should have, or, well, why does this department have documents going back to the 70s, but this one doesn't? If we don't have clear lines, then, we see how much citizens are involved, and they are educating themselves, they are calling the state, they are doing all of this, and so we have to be together. It's not just to nitpick, it protects the city. And so, I can assure you the clerk's office is following the retention schedule.
Yeah. So, that was one thing I had brought up about, mirroring the state, where we can have it, even though, yes, it's at the state, but we can have that local ordinance, that has that retention. So that's something that I'm gonna work on, between now and before the Wednesday due date for, April.
Okay.
The second, Tuesday meeting. And, also, the boards, commission, and authorities, we really have a challenge with that, and that's a huge responsibility for Lindsay and her team, far as getting the minutes, the training. Our boards, we need true board training. And I don't know if we have the structure, did we get the employee to assist that would just be that face to help, but I know that's been a challenge with the boards, commissions, and authorities.
So I actually went to a board meeting last Wednesday. They needed help. They did. And I had a counselor ask if I could go and help them. And so it was either Wednesday or Thursday. But there was a lot of those things they didn't know. And, it should be done by the clerk's office. And so, this board was having a lot of issues. There were disagreements, and so I felt it was appropriate that I was the one to go, not, throwing one of my staff out to the wolves. So we do have many training documents that we provide to these board secretaries. We are setting up training now that Brittany is more comfortable with the boards. It's going to help me to have her involved. The very first training, I want it to be just board secretaries. I do not want chairpersons involved. I do not want department heads involved. It is nothing against them. I want these secretaries to be able to feel comfortable to ask questions. Every time we go to a clerk's conference, the very first thing they say is, "This is Vegas." Whatever is said in Vegas stays in Vegas, because you have to feel comfortable in order to ask these questions. So if we have a board secretary that is ultimately administrative secretary in another department, say they've been handling this board for 10 years, and they have a very simple question, if they ask that with their department head on there, the department head could possibly be like, "What the heck have you been doing for 10 years if you didn't know that?" It's not, and not saying that our department heads would do that, but it could be intimidating to them. And so I want to open those lines of communication. If they don't feel comfortable asking that in a training session, call me,
Right.
email me, just letting them know I'm here to help you. And there is no question that is too small. No question is, people come, I have a stupid question. No question is stupid. Hopefully I have a stupid answer. We'll figure this out together. That's what we're here for. And so, but a lot of them, they don't even know who we are. They have no idea what we do. And so we just finished interviews for our final position last week. So hopefully we will be fully staffed here soon. And so that will help us be able to reach out to them and to start working on these trainings. We had to break down the information. I don't want to just throw a bunch of code sections at them because, I don't know about y'all, but after about the second sentence, I'm done. I don't want to read it. We've broken everything down for them. It's easy for them to understand and for them to refer back to. You know, it's very user-friendly. And so that's what we've been working on, not only for our board secretaries, but also our board members. We want to encourage the younger generations to get involved. And so I don't know about y'all, anything that is difficult for me to do in my personal life especially, I'm not doing it. I'm tired after this past week. I can't even look at you straight or think straight or anything. I don't even pick up my groceries anymore. I have them delivered to my house. So the younger generation, this is what's normal for them.
Right.
You know, I have a sister 7 years younger than me. She has her food delivered to her house. Like, okay, that's a bit much. My groceries, yes. I don't want to go in the grocery store. Your food, you can't cook. You can't even manage to go pick it up. Like, come on. But this is the younger generation. We want to appeal to them. So we're putting information out there. We're breaking it down, making it easy so they can look at this like, oh, that's interesting. Let's do it. I said I wanted to get involved. So we're going at everything with that mindset because, you know, we need them involved. They're going to encourage their friends. We also need our board meetings to be virtual. And, you know, that's a big thing. I know.
And then finally, you were very brief on your role maintaining the cemeteries, and I do feel like that needs to be like later further conversations because communication lines and processes, they need to work together, and I would like to see if you could just send the council an email sharing some of the challenges that you have, you know, maintaining the process with the cemeteries.
Well, and the thing is I know that, you know, there's property that I guess we're eventually going to be selling lots again. I have no idea what's going on with that. I have no idea what's going to be expected of us. I don't know how we would handle it. You know, we need some kind of, and there's plenty of cemetery software that would be beneficial to Public Works and us. I actually ran a vendor down at the Clerk's conference. She got up there to do the raffle and, you know, she briefly said what she did. And when I say I ran her down, I did, because I didn't want her to leave. I didn't have to do that, but I went as fast as my little short legs would take me and got information from her, you know, and I know that the cemeteries, they struggle over there. I know they have index cards just like we do, and so, and I have to say, Carlin, she is wonderful. She is absolutely wonderful. She has so much patience and, you know, because we both have to work together. And now she's working with the staff to try to get these authorizations taken care of to serve our citizens. And so, you know, I would definitely say, put that on your radar because you have two departments that would benefit from one software. And especially if we're going to be responsible for issuing deeds and all of that for these other lots. And that may be something that's already in the works. I don't know. I just know I haven't been told that.
So I'm gonna ask our favorite word, referral. So can you add those? And we've been talking about this. That way the entire council will know what's going on and the needs of the clerk's office. But I appreciate you, Lindsay, so much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, and I appreciate y'all.
Thank you. Lindsay, we have a couple more. Councilor Travis Chambers.
First of all, let me just say thank you for all that you do, and thank you for your assistance. And I do believe that technology is very critical in order for you and your team to do your job effectively, so I do support that. One question for you. I think you stated we have approximately 42 to 43 boards. Are these active boards?
Thank you. Most of them are. I will say that we, trying to get the minutes from many of the boards, we have not been able to get in touch with anyone. We have some that we have been able to contact here and there, but we still never got their minutes. So it's difficult unless I just show up when I think they're going to be meeting, which I don't mind if I'm not in the middle of something. But, I think there's some that could definitely, be dissolved. I don't want to say they don't serve a purpose, but there's a lot that goes into planning a board meeting, a lot. And so, in my mind, I would much rather have my staff focused on something else to our operations than putting together a board meeting that you're going to have 2 or 3 people show up to. That's a waste of our time. And if they're not an authority, if they don't necessarily contribute to the operations of our departments, then I think they should go. There was a lot more participation back in the day. I know every time there was something new that came up, let's make a board, let's make a committee. And it was helpful then. It's just it doesn't work now. It just doesn't. And it's a lot of stress for our departments. It's a lot of stress on council when I keep listing your district on my agenda. Trust me, I don't want to. But, I have to, or it's going to get lost somewhere. So I did have a counselor that requested that we get a list together. And I do have to say, and Tamika's probably going to roll her eyes, but when I got back to the office, I'm all excited that this counselor asked for this list of only the boards that we need. And I'm coming to Brittany, and I'm like, oh, Counselor so-and-so wants this list. She's like, I started working on that last week. And I'm like, yes, this is why my team is great. So Brittany Jones, just going to put that out there. They have quite the competition going on. But, she's already started working on that, and I ran out of time with my presentation. And I didn't want to keep you here all day, or the department heads over here. But I'm going to be bringing that back, trust me, in a memo on my agenda. And it may make some people upset. And it's not personal. It's not any of that. We have to try to do better, all departments. And if we can do something to, help them along, I don't mind being the bad guy. That's fine.
Yeah, I would like us to take a look at that list.
Okay.
And determine the level of accountability, or if these boards are effective. I know some of them are, but we just don't need to just be having boards just to be having boards.
Yeah, we can look at consolidation, and I think city manager will take that as a referral and try to work with us on that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Crabb.
Thank you. I think one of the first times we ever met and spoke when I was a new counselor, we spoke about the boards and how we needed to clean them up. And we have made some progress, but there is more progress to be made. I just wanted to acknowledge the growth that I've seen in you and Tamika in your leadership roles in the last year since you've taken over. I know that you guys took over in a very emotional time. And you were trepidatious at the time, but you have really taken the bull with both horns and run with it, and you have made great strides and much improvements, and I look forward to that continued trajectory. Thank you.
Ma'am.
That's all, Lindsay. Great job. Thank you for
Thank you.
that report. Deputy City Manager.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem. The next presentation is our update on projects. And while they're coming up and they're loading the presentation, we did provide to council just a spreadsheet of all the projects. Now, this is not all the projects. There are some others that are not on this list. But these are the major projects that are under some form of development. So we tried to provide this information And we'll keep this spreadsheet updated quarterly. I know we get a lot of questions about projects from council, and so hopefully you can use this as a resource. And we will put it out on the city's website so that they have this information as well. But this just provides where we are in the phase of the project, and if there's a completion date, we'll provide that estimated completion date on that. So at this time, we'll have Director Beck, Director Pruitt, and Director Johnson go through the project update. These three handle the projects, but they also run their departments as well. And as you can see from this list, there are a lot of projects going on in the city. So I'd like to commend them on keeping everything moving forward. They all do a great job. So, Vance, yeah.
Hey, before I get started with the presentation, I would like to introduce Mr. John Ussery, my assistant. He's been with the city since September. Been waiting to bring him here because most of the meetings, the agenda has been action-packed, and I knew it was going to be a late night. So would like y'all to welcome him aboard. I think he's been on some emails with some of y'all, but we're glad to have him. So
Welcome, sir. Glad to have you here.
all right, let's see what we got. The various funding sources, this hasn't changed, that we get every year. All right, projects, we've completed the Williams Fortune, it's in punch list. We do have lighting coming on some, not new poles, but on existing infrastructure. The materials have come into Georgia Power. They have sent it to their construction crew. The flood abatement, that one is coming along well up by Wilson Apartments. Buena Vista Road is still coming along. They're still experiencing some utility conflicts. That's what has taken that one so long. Anytime you widen an existing facility that's already got all the underground infrastructure from utilities to drainage, those projects tend to go very slow. Casita Road, up on top has gone pretty quick with the new on-ramp and the ramps because they were already inside the denied access, and utilities are not allowed in denied access. But the parts on Casita Road have gone slower due to utilities tying all the sewer laterals in, that type thing. Same thing with Veterans Parkway. When you've got gas, water, fiber, everything running right beside a two-lane road, you've got to move it all, overhead power. Spiderweb, that's a good drone shot. That one is, we're still on schedule to meet currently to meet the April 27, the 2-year window on that. College Drive, we completed that. That had been a drainage project that we were waiting to get SPLOST funding for. We've gotten that one done. 8th Street is coming along. They're working block to block. I was out there yesterday. They are demoing to get ready for the roundabout at 2nd Avenue. Infantry Road, the clearing and grubbing is going along there. That one is kicked off and going well down off South Lumpkin. They actually had the preliminary field plan review last Friday in the field for the military drive stretch, and they're had the plan review this morning at 9 on the plan assembly for that project. We completed the 2nd Avenue and 14th signal upgrades. Also, I don't think I have a picture in here, Martin Luther King and Brown. The poles are up, the signals are up and bagged. We just got to move some stuff around and get that one finished. We did got the front avenue drainage where all the old collapsed pipes were, got that done. Midtown, we got the low bids in. It's in finance to get that awarded. So that one should be kicking off here this summer. The 8th Street's resurfacing, that was let to contract. We're waiting on the notice to award from GDOT. So hopefully we can get those paved this summer as well. And then got the River Road, Lake Oliver segments in the queue as soon as procurement finance turns over the Midtown and the 8th Street's resurfacing. They'll get this one. North Star Kennedy, they've also got that. We sent that in to them. That one's fixed to be advertised so that we can coordinate with Muskogee County School District. I've already been in touch with them. They're not going to hold any summer school or anything special at that school so that we can we're probably not going to break ground to June now, but if we get it, hopefully we can get in there and get out and not affect any of the school traffic. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Johnson to talk about some TIA projects. And then I'll come back up and talk about some more active construction.
We got a question. Hold on just a minute, Councilor Tucker.
Of course, I'm definitely gonna ask about this. But the first one that you started talking about was the Buena Vista Road. And I think you said that that's the Divergent Diamond
Yes, ma'am.
project. You said that it was utilities. Is that what it is now?
That has been the bulk of the time to take it. They get in there, they've got to extend every drainage pipe, had to move all the drainage pipes to put the new inlets in when they widen the road. You got fiber, water, gas, you got all the overhead utilities. That's just been, that was a large project.
Okay,
Bradley Park, you did not move any curbs. The width was already there. It was basically a striping type change and removal of ramps. No new bridges built over the interstate. That one had 2 new bridges demoed in the middle of the night, built over the interstate. That is, those 2 projects, when they're finished, will look very similar, but they are night and day on how they had to be built.
yeah. And I know, you can give it from the city perspective, and I'm not sure if we can ever get GDOT here, but some of the complaints that I see on a daily basis from citizens are I'm gonna say the night and day comparison of how projects are managed. The Buena Vista Road, sometimes it is filthy. I'm just gonna tell you, it's filthy. You have individuals busting tires. It's not as smooth and, I'm gonna say taken care of like other areas. And I frequent, because that's where I live, on that side of town, the east side of town. So I frequent that area, but I also drive to Bradley Park, and it is day and night, like the way the aesthetics look. It looks like, sadly, exactly what the citizens say, that the construction individuals, contractors don't care about this side as much as they care about the Bradley Park. If y'all ride out there, you'll see, just trash and filth. They cleaned it up. One time, I think I sent a complaint to you and they cleaned it up, but we're constantly having to send, those type of complaints. I will say that I do appreciate now I see the trees being, not only the trees, but the sod and the grass being put down on that area. But it still needs to be cleaned up. And I will say it is parts of Bradley Park that's not cleaned up either. It's barrels, and I sent that in reference to the project that was done on Macon Road corridor. It's still barrels on the side of the road when you're coming off the highway. Me coming from St. Mary's getting off this morning, you see barrels on the side. So I'm just saying it does not look good, and it looks like and it's not, I'm saying but it's not we, because it's GDOT and it's the contractors, whoever's doing it. But the amount of care that's being taken on one side of town is not similar to what's happening. And if I can't even remember when that project was going on Macon Road, but to this day, that stuff is not cleaned up, and that's not right.
It could be some of the traffic control that is spilled over from the Buena Vista project. I don't know.
It's those big, I guess,
Right.
buoys, and
We take every Q alert that we get on those projects that GDOT's administering, and those are forwarded to GDOT for further handling. It's the same contractor at Bradley Park that has Buena Vista Road DDI and the spiderweb.
Yeah. So what's the process of actually us talking with GDOT and them hearing our concern as the council body?
So I know that GDOT does, the TIA office does watch council meetings, so I'm sure they're hearing
Yeah,
your
because I tagged them on
concerns.
my post.
So we'll have that discussion with them. And again, it is the same contractor, so we'll have that discussion with GDOT.
So that's number one in reference to, that project at the Divergent Diamond. And then also, like, when citizens are calling, I know you're saying Q alerts, but they're having big bolts in their tires. I don't know how many times I had to change my own tires coming off, Buena Vista Road, exit. But what is the process for those individuals, when their vehicle is being messed up and they're busting tires because it's actual bolts, left in the road? What's the process?
We'll get that information
Is
from
that,
GDOT.
do they go through GDOT?
We'll get the
Okay.
contact
Yeah,
information
because I
for
mean, I
that.
honestly have spent multiple dollars, and I'm thankful that, on my new car, I got a plan, but on my older cars, I don't. So we have to pay for those tires. And we don't send it because I do have the money to do it, but I know other folks don't, and it's just not right. So that's number one, the Diversion Diamond, because that's like hot. So this Q1, 2027, are they like December, January, February? Is that what this is?
I was gonna let Mr. Johnson talk about the TIA project.
Oh, I didn't mean to say this, because it's Q1 in, let's say winter 2026. So what does that mean for the Buena Vista Road interchange? Does that mean December?
Back to, they tell me they should have traffic shifted into this summer on the DDI,
So traffic will be
shifted into the correct alignment this summer.
Okay, this summer.
And that will include more paving and smoothing it out and all that. Bradley Park is all but done. That's the final
And
layer of asphalt.
And I'll be honest with you, I understand, and I can explain the Bradley
Right.
part in reference to
Right.
the size and the width of that area versus, Buena Vista, it's a complete build out. Like, I do understand it. It's just that when we have a complete build out and then it look like crap, I can't explain that. You know what I'm saying? That's just not right, period. And then with this TIA Band 1 project, I know that we have some road acquisitions, and I think were we in the works of sending and contacting those individuals in the right-of-way
Yes.
for that project?
We are under active right-of-way acquisition on all of the properties on Steam Mill Road. There's 170 different pieces of property that will be acquired for that project.
Okay. Do we have the design completed for this one?
Almost complete.
It is completed?
It's not 100% complete, but it's complete enough to do right away.
Yeah, so one of the questions, so you remember when we had to address shifting for the family where we was gonna take a lot of that person's house? In regards to the roundabout at North Star Drive, would it make sense to go closer to and I know we gotta look at utilities, but closer to Shirley B instead of taking property? Is it possible to move it closer to the Shirley B entrance, that roundabout? Because I think it's right at Shirley B.
The family that came.
Yeah, we addressed that, I
That's-
think, because we moved it to
That's right there,
It
that,
shifted towards, I think the one at Shirley B and North Star is mainly getting city property.
Yeah,
yeah,
that was, so
And-
the first one that I saw, it was getting that little corner store.
It's gonna still have to get that.
Right.
But because that's gonna be a pretty good size roundabout. But it is shifted toward the park. If you look at the alignment, it jogs over toward the park.
So I guess my question is it because of utilities that we can't go closer into Shirley B? Like,
Rains,
you
it goes up a hill going kinda in Shirley B. tying it all in, it's all geometry based.
Yeah, because like right there at the front, it's, to me, it seems pretty level. It is kind of hilly, but right there at the front, when you first come in to Shirley B, is not as hilly. So that's what I'm asking. Is it a way that we can look at, moving it closer to the Shirley B side?
We can have that discussion with the consultant and see if there's any adjustments that can be made to that. I was just trying to pull the plans up. But we can have that discussion and see.
And I know you threw, I don't know if we even, I think you did, talk about the North Star Drive corridor. I'm trying to go to it. Are we addressing, when we do that, like sidewalks or anything, or are we just?
There are sidewalks in the footprint that we are working in that area, yes, ma'am.
Okay, because.
And that thing is all, I don't think we're having to purchase any right away. I think there was a little bit of school board stuff that we'll be able to just do a quick claim, and we're,
So those sidewalks have no curbage, so that's,
the
that
new
was.
part will have curb.
Okay, so that was one of the things, that some of the parents that have kids that walk to school, that was one of their concerns, is that, the roundabout is nice, but why didn't we address, sidewalks and curbs before we did this roundabout? And I know that the conversation with the roundabout came when our residents were having issues with entering and exiting, and this was the result of that. And right now we have the three-way stop, but one of their major concerns is that just like Steam Mill Road with no curbage, is no curbage here at this location, especially with those kids walking to school.
In the new construction, part of the footprint of the roundabout all gets curb and gutter.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Councilor Cogle.
I was wondering, just to go off of what Councilor Tucker was saying, do we not have any within our contracts with GOT a cleanup policy? Or do we have any standards that we hold our contractors to? And if we do, who from the city then goes out and maintains and determines whether they're holding up
So
trash specifically?
it would be in the contract with the construction team, and the project engineer or Vance or whoever is overseeing that project, if there's an issue, would have that discussion with the contractor. They meet on a regular basis, whoever is overseeing that project.
I mean, because this isn't the first time that this has come up. I mean, Val, I think, has come up here probably for 2 or 3 years. And so, we hear from our citizens over and over again about the conditions of our projects, and it doesn't seem like we're actually acting on them. So it might be something to look at in the future as far as how we deal with GDOT or our performance on how we go out into our community. But I had a question about speed tables and raised sidewalks. Some of the conversation that we've had in the past about doing some traffic calming has come up with, can we use raised sidewalks, or can we use speed tables? And can you clarify where and how those are used? Because some of the conversation has been, we don't use raised sidewalks or speed tables to calm traffic, but I was kind of surprised on 8th Street to have come across the raised sidewalks, when I think that we've said, like, specifically for some concerns in Oakland Park, that we would not use speed or raised sidewalks to calm traffic. So can you kind of
So I'll address part of your question, and I'll let Vance or
give us a clarification on it?
clarification on that. So we used to have a speed table program in the engineering department This was years ago, when we had budget cuts in the engineering department. That program was eliminated and approved by council at that time to eliminate that program. There was a process that residents would go through. They would have to get, a petition signed within their neighborhood that everyone was in agreement to have the speed table. And that program, because of budget cuts, was removed from the engineering department. There are times when there is a speed table that's included as part of a project, and that's a little different than just adding a speed table to a neighborhood. That process and the person that was handling that program was eliminated from the budget. And so I'll let Vance or John, if you want to talk about
Some of the new
speed tables.
neighborhoods put them in as they're constructing the neighborhood, and it doesn't have a negative impact on the traveling public. I mean, you take 8th Street, that one block's been closed for 3 or 4 weeks. So if you take some of these neighborhoods that don't have a good grid network, you can't close that street to build the speed table and everybody get where they need to go. We did have the retrofitted ones years ago, but we had to remove them all because they were popping everybody's tires. The bolts came up out of the rubber ones. So it's very difficult on an existing street to do the construction without completely shutting that street down.
Yeah, well, I mean, I guess my concern is that, from my perspective, I get a lot of complaints about the speed on Walker and Bland, specifically in Oakland Park. And Oakland Park is a very grid-light opportunity. And I've been out there where, I'm going the speed limit and I'm passed with cars that are I'm going 25 or 30, and they're passing me at 60 or 70 because it's a straight shot down the road. It's like a racetrack. And I mean, kids are out there playing basketball, kids are out there riding their bikes. I mean, it's a very family-oriented neighborhood, and it's increasingly becoming more family-oriented. And, the perception here, just as what Councilor Tucker was saying, the perception here is that 8th Street, I'm assuming, is going to have 4 raised sidewalks all the way down. We were having higher speed traffic, but there's some safety concerns that have been brought up before where if the grid is an issue, I mean, I think Walker was recently repaved, was it not? Or maybe that was Broadmoor.
We can look at some of those longer tangent stretches and see if there's something we can do.
Okay.
We
I mean,
can do that.
I think it really needs to be looked at. I mean, I've been asking about it, and our citizens have been, I know our Neighborhood Watch Association has raised some significant concerns about it. And I mean, if this is an option, it really needs to be looked at for some of those access
Walker
streets.
and Bland are your 2
Walker and
main-
Bland are the ones, Walker for sure, Bland.
Okay, we can look at those.
Those exterior streets, they have no stop signs all the way through.
Okay, we can
Thank you.
look at those.
Thank you, Counselor Anchor?
Director Beck, back on the spider web portion of the project, we're at 43% complete. And I think there's more small businesses in that region right there than any other project that we're working on that are being affected by it. I think I just wanted to know, is there the project's anticipated to be complete by April of 2027. It's a little bit behind schedule right now. When does traffic actually get to go across and start moving again, other than the really awkward detours that we have?
I can't answer that right now. I
Is
mean,
it
it takes a while.
planned?
It's like the government center or Synovus. It takes a while to get out of the ground, then it'll speed up.
So does it have to be totally complete before the traffic, or is there a small amount of, one lane of traffic that gets to open back up earlier?
We can look at a staging. There may be a way to run the MLK Illages under the bridge if we get the roundabout done over
And that would help
Raceway.
with an easier
Yeah,
detour?
we
Okay.
will, we'll work with the contractor and the our CE&I folks and see, you know.
Well, we've spoken, you and I, and I fielded a lot of calls also, just trying to get people, you know, progress is hard and it does affect us all.
Right.
And I appreciate your diligence. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
I think that's it. Did you, Counselor Davis?
Thank you. Director Vance, is that the end for all the T-Splots projects and all road projects?
No.
You got some more of them?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Should I wait?
But
We're happy to answer your question. I know you called me yesterday about the lights, and I think you were out when he talked about the lights at the roundabout. And Vance, if you just want to briefly mention that.
I'm gonna take
So
it off
we-
the list.
Yes, sir.
we submitted that to Georgia Power immediately. They had to order, I think there was an 8 to 12 week lead time on the fixtures. Those fixtures have come in. They have given it to their construction crew. They also did get all the poles at the VA clinic pulled. So a lot of these things are out of our individual control, but we do try to expedite anything we can. But the lighting should be getting installed soon as their crews get it in their hopper.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I'm just gonna wait till you finish and then I'll
Okay.
bring it up.
Will's fixing to talk about T-Splosh, and then I'll come back up.
We'll get there eventually. All right. We talked a little bit about State Mill Road earlier. Letting is estimated to be the first quarter of 2027. Right now, we are in full right-of-way acquisition mode. That is ongoing, and we met with our right-of-way buyers last week, and they left the meeting that morning, and they headed straight out to State Mill Road, so they're on top of it. Whitesville Road, this will go from the bridge at J.R. Allen all the way to Williams Road. Estimated letting is fall of '27. This is a $12.8 million project. It'll be 3-lane with a roundabout at Cloverdale? Yeah, Tombuctoo and Cloverdale. South Lumpkin Road streetscapes, council chose the 3-lane option. Letting for this is estimated to be 2027. And this one's moving along pretty quickly. Other projects, Fifth Avenue Trail that will go from 10th to 14th. We had to redesign to put it on the east side. So we hope to have design completion done by this summer. The roundabout at 5 Points, design completion should be December of 2026. It's not as easy as I think we thought it would be with the way buildings are in there. So that'll get going as soon as we get the design complete. Other TIA Band 1 projects, Andrews Road, this is a GDOT administered project. It is under design. Brennan is under design. University has been moved out to Band 2, but GDOT is developing the concept report. Manchester Expressway at Central Church Road intersection improvements, that's done. That's a Harris County project. Columbus River Walk repaving and maintenance. Engineering department is working on a bid package. Buena Vista Road corridor improvements. This will go from Spiderweb to Winton Road. It is planned to let in June of '27. And Liberty Theater block enhancement. Design is in progress, and it does include 7th as well as 8th. TIA Band 2 projects, Marsh Road. The consultant has been selected and is underway. Forest Road as well, and those consultants are working together. J.R. Allen at Schaumburg and Blackman. Consultant's been selected, hope to let that in September of 2028. And Second Avenue improvements, they had the public meeting, I guess, back in December or November. It is still under design. It is letting in April of 2028. And of course, it's also tied to the reclamation project that GDOT has that is separate.
Will, could I ask about the Schaumburg-Blackman Road area? What, are those they're going to be signalized?
Those will be roundabouts.
All four?
All four.
Okay, good deal. Thank you.
Band 3 projects, the Mahaffey Road, County Line Road Bridge over Manchester Expressway, that will be GDOT administered. Williams Road widening from Veterans to 185 will be GDOT administered. Cedar Road, 10th Avenue to the roundabout at Brennan will be GDOT administered. And then the last two, Double Churches Road improvements, we will administer that project, and we will administer and work with the Waterworks and the Dragonfly Trail on the Bull Creek Dragonfly Trail connector. Those also tie into some of our other projects like Morris Road and Forest Road because of the way the creek flows. So those consultants that we've hired are also working on integrating all of that, so we don't have so we don't have duplication.
Yeah. Could I ask about the bridge at County Line Road in that area? Do we have a timeline yet?
Probably for Band 3, which wouldn't have to start until 2029.
Okay.
Probably not. And with the way Mahaffey comes in, and with the exits, and of course the elevation difference from one side to the east side from the west side, we'll just have to see.
Okay. Thanks, sir.
All right, I'll talk a little bit, resurfacing. We're trying to do some of the bigger streets. We got Biggers Road done. We're gonna do Almond Road. The PCI scores of both of those streets in their entirety qualified. We are currently working with Norfolk Southern on Fortson Road. We are gonna pave the southbound lane from the crest of the hill down to the tracks that is so washboarded. They're gonna completely redo that crossing. We're gonna try to work in there together at the same time to minimize disruption, but it's hard. Coordination sometimes between different contractors gets difficult, and the railroad's. But we have been in close contact with them on that. So that will.
Vance, excuse me just a minute, Councilor Kogel.
Do we see this a lot? Do we have a 2020 FY20 image of this or previously that we can see, like, any of the progress that we've made?
We did not get this new software and have our network ridden till, was that 22 or 23? But I know that we have gone from an average PCI score of about 42 up to around 48.
Can we see it from 2022? Is that what you said?
No, when we update the map, it changes. I don't have the archived map. So when we resurface the road, we physically go in there and turn it green and get the new PCI score. I don't think I can. I'll see if we can find the archived map with the software company.
Since we have an awesome clerk of council, did we, did we have, I guess, I mean, we get updated fairly often.
No pressure, Lindsay.
I'll see if I can find it.
I'd be interested, and I think our citizens would be interested to see if we've made some progress, or else we just kind of look at it and we just see squiggly lines all the time.
Okay.
Thanks.
We'll see what we can find there. We're continuing to try to do in-house projects. We have an on-call sidewalk contractor. We get some money every year, and we.
Excuse
Oh,
me.
I'm sorry.
Can you go back to the map of the surfacing? Is this online? Like, can we zoom in on it and see certain areas and certain streets that?
What we can do, I guess, is we can print this in a district map. Would that be helpful?
That would be
I think I provided everybody last year a district map and the streets that we were researching. I will do that again.
I was just thinking that, if we had one online that we could zoom into in
I
our
can get you a
district,
still picture,
and
though.
then as you're fixing them, we see it change. I mean.
We'll work on that. We'll take that as a referral. We did provide a district map before, and we'll do another district map, but we'll look at being able to put this online and update it.
Okay, and I know that this is resurfacing, but I've said over and over, there's some very dangerous streets in District 5 that need painting desperately,
Well,
quickly, as
We
soon as
painted the
possible.
stop bar at Norris, we painted all the markings at Pittman and Bush. The Long Line crew is currently in South Carolina, but they're hoping to be back in town in the next couple of weeks, so those two will be complete. So we take the striping, we go look at it, we add it to our list. But again, scheduling sometimes becomes challenging. But
Okay,
those are getting painted.
So Pittman and Norris, and when do you think they were gonna be painted?
I think well, if you go out there now, all the markings and arrows and legends and all that's done. The white barrier line and the double yellow are not done, but that's a different crew.
Okay,
So the handwork's done on all of that.
okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Counselor Tucker.
How many, miles of road do we have total in Columbus?
I think it's 1,232, but I don't quite, it's 1,200 and something.
It's 1,232?
I think is what it is. I can get that number and get it to you.
Did we have resurfacing as part of the SPLOST? Did we have?
Yes.
So right now, the 4.5, is that SPLOST or is that just our budget?
So we have multiple funding sources for resurfacing. We have SPLOST, we have OLOST infrastructure, there's T-SPLOST discretionary, and there's the paving fund. So when we come to council each year during the budget process, we allocate funding for projects specific and for resurfacing. So depending on the projects that we have and depending on the funding source, it could come from any of those buckets.
Okay, so, are we trying to stretch SPLOST funds? Oh, cause I think, is it like pay as you go? Is that how this part works?
Yes, it's a pay-as-you-go project, and there was a total amount of, I don't recall the total, 20 million, but I think we did 5 for sidewalks and trails and 15 for resurfacing, and it's spread out. And it's only, the SPLOST funding is only for resurfacing.
So it's only for resurfacing. Okay, I know we're coming up in the budget, the FY '27 budget, and that's why I'm asking these questions and seeing how, because as we see what 4.5 would get you 26.5, and as Councilor Crabb said, we do have several dangerous corridors out there, and if we can use more of SPLOST, T-SPLOST and OLOS dollars to accompany that paving fund during FY '27, I think we could get more roads paved than just that 26.5 if we can work those numbers.
We'll look at that coming into the budget process.
Okay, and then also with Councilor Crabb asking about district maps, are we using GIS mapping for these, or is it just some type of software in reference to this map that we have? Is it?
That's a software that we have to pay
This is
for
a flat-
licenses on.
So this is flat, it's not GIS
No,
connected?
but we can get the current picture uploaded to GIS and get y'all a map of your area.
Yeah.
But the other is fluid online through a software company that has license fees. We can't all, I mean, it's
Yeah,
not cheap
I got
to
it.
be able to be in there changing it, working it, and doing depreciation curves, the whole 9 yards. It's a fluid program.
Okay, thank you.
We try to do, anytime we take our ADA and sidewalks very serious. Some areas we can do and some areas we can't. We actually hit a gas line. You can see the marker there on the one at Hamilton Road, but then the area on Edgewood since, I guess, forever, kids were having to walk in the street for a couple hundred feet, and we shifted some lane assignments, and we're able to accommodate one there. And now, take any other questions? Glenn, do you have some more? Before I turn it over to Ryan for,
No, sir, looks like they're done. Good job. Spoke too soon. Council Davis.
Is that all transportation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me go ahead and answer my questions. And really some comments, so take some notes. Okay, you already answered one of them. Let's go, I'm just gonna, while we're at it, I know this is fixing, let's don't do this, we'll do this later. The Whitesville Road improvements, you know, I just want to have this conversation for the sake of citizens watching, because I'm getting a lot of requests to make road improvements there, and maybe some people are coming to our community late, and they don't really know about what's going on. But right now, we do have a major improvement project going on Whitesville Road, all the way from Synovus all the way to Williams Road, which includes the double churches and Whitesville intersection, and that's what I want to highlight. I've been getting a lot of calls lately, people concerned about the, I guess, the status or the intersection there is getting a little rough. It's probably not as rough as a lot of our intersections, but, you know, and I keep telling them that, you know, improvements are on the way, they're on the way. They'll be there, and certainly it's a situation where you don't want to throw good money out for bad. And when it's all finished and done, it will be improved.
well, one thing, double churches from River Road to the interstate bridge is one of the 8 researching jobs with federal money that we've already let the contract. We're just waiting to award, where GDOT is looking through the bid package now. So when we come through there, we'll see if we can at least get to the back of the radiuses on Whitesville and do new markings and all at that intersection.
Good, and I was, primarily, I was talking about the Whitesville Road.
Right,
So
we'll see.
that's in band
I'll
too.
see if we can wrap it a little bit
Right,
on
I
that.
think that's another thing. Double churches from Veterans all the way to River Road, I believe, is scheduled in band 3 with
For
the
widening,
T-spot.
but that program of the researching was actually developed prior to the TIA list of projects, and it's taken me that long to get it.
Right, and it's in 3.
so,
We're
yeah.
not at 3. We're not into 3 yet, I don't think.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, I just wanted to make sure, just for conversation's sake, that the citizens know that
Yes, there are improvements
that's
coming
in
to that
work,
whole
that's
area.
in progress,
Both of
especially.
those corridors will be completely redone.
Exactly. Okay, the Williams Road, that's in band 3, just like double churches. There is a section, you talk about resurfacing, there's a section that seems to be always eroding away right there around AT&T, where they have their little building in that area. I want to be able to put that on the list. We may need to address that, being that Williams Road is in band 3, and Williams Road, the shoulders are, we constantly go out there and make some improvements and put some asphalt down on the shoulders, but they're getting eroded, they're eroding away again. So I'd like to get that on the radar. And you had mentioned Fortson Road, railroad crossing. I'd also want to bring back up Smith Road, because Smith Road is an extreme challenge right now. I mean, it's, you know, I've said this before, it is what it is with all those heavy trucks going through there. It seems like we're getting more and more businesses coming into that area with more and more heavy trucks, heavy traffic, and of course you have the railroad crossing there, very active quarry. So anything that can be done there, I mean, I think it's been years since we've addressed that, but it's worn down again. And then up on the intersection of Fortson Road and it would be Woolridge and Smith right there at that intersection. If you can get some people to look at that, there's some areas there that are getting really, really degraded by all that heavy traffic in there. And again, it is what it is, but, you know, we're gonna have to, every once in a while, have to go back in there and do what we need to do to keep that. It's a lot of residents in there, a lot of people live in that area and they travel that road. It's really the only road you can get off the highway there and then get in there, unless you go up Veterans Parkway, but most of the time it's easier to go 185 to Smith Road. So if we can put that on the list and maybe get back with me on that, just want to bring that to your attention once more. Also, when you talk about surfacing, take a look at in front of Lowe's, well, on the side of Lowe's and in front of Country's on New Whittlesey, right there, there seems to be an area on that curve that is constantly being worn down. I know when Walmart was built a long time ago, we had them help contribute to resurfacing New Whittlesey because they were, you know, hauling.
There's that one stretch, like you're saying, it's kind of out of the wheel path, but it has.
Right on that curve on the west.
I'm gonna see if I can get with Public Works on that to
Yeah.
just do that strip.
It's a westbound line,
Right.
westbound lane, and there may be some asphalt or.
It really needs to be milled and filled, and they did get a new milling machine a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I think you're right on that.
I'll get with Public Works on that one.
Thank you, Director. And one more, I'm just gonna go ahead and mention this while I got it. And we've got money in for the two things on here, and this is, these are for some of the other projects that are SPLOTS related. Yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen with the Trade Center parking garage. I really don't. I don't know where that is, but I do know that if we're not gonna address that, what we really need to do to help improve our character to our visitors coming in is make some improvements with our current parking deck. There's got to be a way that we can do some upgrades. That entrance is atrocious. It's just really tough to get in that entrance, and it's just, you know, honestly, I don't think I've seen an entranceway out there that's been that old. They seem to be all upgraded. There may be one or two, but it's tough getting in and out of there. It's just, you know, it just doesn't look very good when people come into our community. It looks really bad. And maybe there's some other things we can do to that parking deck to maybe improve, upgrade, or improve just the character of it, that it would leave a better impression to our visitors coming in at the Trade Center. I think there's an opportunity there. It's just a matter of, you know, if we're not going to build a new parking deck, then maybe those are some things. And on the interior, there might be some things on the interior that we can do to better the mobility throughout that parking deck. And then the last one, Deputy City Manager, you've got on here about Cooper Creek, and I know there's funds there, $4 million. We've talked about this over and over and over, and I was reminded again at the CSU tennis game the other night about the nature of our lights out there at Cooper Creek and tennis facility. We're going right into tennis tournament season again, and we've been talking about it for years about the LED lights. We really need to get ahead of that. And it's just, I would suspect it's costing us a lot of money to maintain those metal halide lights and then replace them versus LED, and those things are a thing of the past. And you know, I don't know where that is on the schedule, but I would hope that it would get done before the year's over with or in the near future. It's something that really needs to be addressed. So you may want to comment on that.
So we will have Director Browder provide an update to council on the SPLOS Park projects, and we'll add that to our presentation going forward.
Yeah, and I think we've talked many times about it, and it's always, you know, it seems like the response is we're working on it or we're going to talk about it, but, you know, we need to, I think a lot of our citizens are people who use the facilities all are losing that confidence, and it's just, you know, it hurts me to hear those comments that are being made, and I don't like it. But it's something that we really need, and I think could really enhance our, a lot of traffic goes through there, a lot of tournaments, and I know we're going to be met with challenges. So anything you can do would be greatly appreciated by not only the council of the district, but the associations out there too.
And I'll get you an update from Director Browder.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Counselor Tucker.
Yes, when you get that update, can you add, and I'm not, she probably already is doing this, the updates from the, projects, when we put that extra, I think it was like 12 million for Parks and Rec, some of the projects, I know some of them are done, like the scoreboards and things, and then also, I think that was the year before budget cycle. I gotta go back and see when we did that, that additional, like above and beyond for Parks and Rec.
So there is a Parks and Rec facility improvement that's included on this report, as well as the playground renovations that was Heath, Salmon, Double Churches, and Shirley. Those were one was in FY '24 and FY '26, so we'll.
Yeah, I know the parks, we had, did the 3 parks. That was one of my add-ons for, the playgrounds. But we had like a whole list of projects, and I don't think we got an update on them. And I can't remember if it was FY '25 or if it was '24, but that was
24.
when she
We'll
had
get
like that 12
update.
million. Okay.
We'll get that update for you.
Oh, also, I had a question in regards to sidewalks, because you made a reference to addressing the ADA,
Vance.
Director Vance.
What was that now?
Yeah, it's been a busy day. I've been getting constituent calls the whole time I've been here. You made a comment in reference to addressing, ADA requirements on sidewalks.
Yes, we try to fix any that we can physically do and with the constraints we have.
Is it possible for us, to do a survey of all our schools in reference to sidewalks? That way we'll know that's something that you already have, Director Johnson.
We've got 3 studies that are about to go out to bid. One is school traffic impact that will look at traffic around the schools as well as pedestrian safety. We also have a sidewalk study and an update to the trail study that was done in 2014. And then we have an Edgewood Road study. So we have 3 studies that are ready to go out to bid.
Okay. When you say, is it where the lights are flashing? Is that where we start in the sidewalk study? So the reason why I'm asking is the meeting that we had at Shirley B in reference to the project on Buena Vista Road. I think right outside that, if it's approved, that apartment complex is the school zone lights, because Kendrick and all those schools are right there, and those kids, walk to school. So I'm just asking, when we do that study, are we looking at those areas?
We're going to look citywide on the sidewalk study.
Okay.
The school study, I mean, you got all the schools will be looked at.
So that's why I was saying anywhere it's like a
So
flashing,
it's 2 of
flashing
them,
light.
and there'll be some overlap.
Okay.
We can look at
Yeah,
school zone technology.
I'm just thinking, you got apartment complexes where kids are walking to school, and they might, I think one of the things is finding out how many walkers you have, in each particular school, and then kind of looking at where they're walking from. The school lights aren't coming up in my subdivision, but I got kids that's walking from my subdivision to Mary Buckner, and it's no sidewalks. And I'm actually getting parents, calling about that because they're concerned exactly with the Steamer Road situation. Now, it was just Dawson, so they didn't have to go that far. So now they're having to go, further to get to Mary Buckner. So you're getting some of these calls, well, I am, in reference to walkers and how far their kids, are walking without, the lights, the flashing lights to let, people know to slow down. And then we don't have sidewalks with proper curbage, so things like that. So that's why I would ask if we could, I guess, expand it to ask the question to those schools, particular schools, where the walkers are coming from,
Yeah,
and
they're
then how
gonna-
far.
They're going to take that all into consideration
Right.
when they do the school traffic impact study.
Okay, thank you.
Real quick, before
Counselor.
Mr. Pruitt goes, the reason I didn't hear you a minute ago, Norfolk Southern apparently jumped in there this morning to do their work at Fortson Road. So it will be closed through today and tomorrow. So they were supposed to coordinate with me for a media release, but that's, just want everybody to know. So they're in there working.
Can you repeat it so WTM?
Fortson Road, Railroad Crossing will be closed today and tomorrow. Norfolk Southern's in there replacing it now. We were trying to coordinate to where we were all in there at the same time, but again, I can't control other people's schedules, so.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Cogle.
Deputy City Manager Hodgwin, Holly comes back with a presentation. Can we include an update on what the update is on the roof on Gallup's Senior Recreation Center? I think Councilor Davis and I had brought it up at council in 2023, that the roof at the senior center is leaking significantly in the building that is also on that property. I think we were assured that that building was going to be coming down. It's still there. The roof is falling in. And I met with the seniors, and I know you're on the email correspondence, but they would really like to have staff come and give another update on the 8th of April, and give an update on what exactly the roof status is, because when it rains inside, and we've brought it up. It's been some significant concern. The fascia board on the outside is all rotted. There's mildew in there, probably mold, and we had been assured that that was going to be taken care of, and now we're 3 years later and it's still a significant issue. And I mean, on that was the marina as well. I don't think that the marina bathrooms have been updated either, and so just a concern. I'm going to ask publicly for staff to come April 8th to that meeting at 11 o'clock, so that the citizens can address staff directly on some of our shortcomings. So,
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Davis.
Yeah, Director Beck, on the railroad, add this to your list. There's a couple broken panels on, the concrete panels on 45th Street. Just if you get somebody to take a look at those. Councilor Tucker, you were talking about the money that was earmarked for Parks and Recs back in 2024. I think it was 13 million.
Oh, okay. I knew it was high.
Yeah, I think it was 13 million for upgrades. Can we get when we get that update, can we just get a list of where all that money was utilized and what it was utilized on? I think I just heard somebody say some of it might be on this list still. I'm not sure, but I believe a lot of these projects that we talked about that we specifically, I'd have to go back and check during the budget process, but we specifically brought up projects to be worked on, and we went deep in the reserve, 13 million that 1 year. That took a lot of days out of reserve. We did that because we believed that a lot of these facilities needed to be upgraded, and I think we had those conversations back then. But I'd like to get a list of where all those funds were utilized or how they're being utilized.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Deputy City Manager.
Good morning. counselors. Quick update on some of our facility projects. We'll start with the Judicial Center. Project remains on schedule for completion later this year. The exterior skin is over 95% complete, just putting the finishing touches on that. We took out the buck hoists, which were the temporary elevators on the outside of the building that got materials and people up and down. We now have a permanent elevator inside the building that is operational for construction use. So that is now how material and people are moved vertically in the building. We do have permanent power, has been on for several months now to the building. Worked with Georgia Power to get that done. So they've started up all the major mechanical equipment, the air handlers, chillers, cooling towers, all those types of things have been installed and started up. So we do have conditioned air in the building, which allows us really to hit the installation of the finishes full steam. So that's where the majority of the work is going, so you don't see as much work on the outside. There is still over 200 people working on this building every day. Just a few progress photos. This was taken about a month and a half ago when they were finishing up the brickwork on the north facade. And these were taken last week, so you can see that the masonry is substantially complete on the outside. Like I said, they're putting some finishing touches on the curtain wall and the glazing system there. So that's the north facade directly across from the Springer on 10th Street. This is the eastern facade, so down at the bottom, that big gray box behind the cinder block, that's the generator for the facility. It is emergency power. Power goes out, obviously we got to maintain lights, we got to maintain security systems for in custody people, we got to power a fire pump in case we need to get water somewhere. So that's what that generator will be for. That cinder block will get covered with brick to match the building and look a little better. Some pictures of the inside. As I said, we're working on the interior finishes. So here's some wood paneling on the entryway into the courtroom. So you can see the front doors of the court have the slatted wood paneling, kind of like is here on the council chambers. That's also pays homage to our current courthouse, which has a lot of that similar detailing. You can see the black box to the left in that paneling. That is for a digital docketing display. So this courthouse will kind of function a little bit like the airport. When you walk in the main entry, go through security, there's going to be several large monitors that'll have the court case name, the party name, the case number, which floor it is on, which courtroom it is, and what time their hearing is. So just like when you go to the airport, you got to find your gate, your flight, and all that good information. We'll have that. And then as you when you get off the elevator on the 5th floor, for example, there will be another smaller display that'll show you just the hearings happening on that 5th floor. And then when you get to the courtroom, there will be another display that shows what's happening in that particular room. So it should make navigation a lot easier for the public and other folks as they're coming in for court. Here's inside the courtroom, so you can see that is the head wall there. You can see the judge's bench, witness stand, the clerk workstation, all that millwork is in. That's covered by the cardboard to be protected. Over to the left is the jury box, but you can see all that is currently being installed. Here's a view from the jury box. So again, you can see in the rail of the jury box are monitors and speakers. When evidence is presented, they want the jury to get a good look at that, be able to see and hear what the evidence is. So that's in every jury box. Again, to the left is where the judge and witness would be seated. Like I said, we're on track for completion later this year. Moving all those departments and courts is going to be a process, so we've already started preliminary discussions with all of those user groups, but that will be something we'll be diving heavily into over the next few months. A few other updates, Fire Station 5 and Fire Stations 4 and 8, Chief Scarpa touched on all these. 5 we have completed, and as he stated, 4 and 8 we should get started this summer. So the design, we're putting our final touches on that. The contractor's currently pricing that design package, and we'll be coming to council for approval to award those contracts here in the next few months. Public safety building, another SPLOST project. There was $5 million in the SPLOST to renovate that facility. We've done preliminary design, and we will have item on the purchasing agenda for a construction contract for that project at the next council meeting. Here's just a couple of pictures. Again, Chief Scarpa kind of stole my thunder, but here's some pictures of Station 5. A few other ones. Oxbow Creek, construction should start, or will start in April. The first step will be installing a temporary facility for the clubhouse to continue operations. Obviously, with all the thousands of rounds of golf that they do, we didn't want to shut down the golf course while we're doing that renovation. So there will be a temporary trailer set so they can continue to check people in and get people in and out for their rounds. But that should start in April. It's a pretty short duration, so really should start in April and be complete later this summer. Muskogee County Jail, so we have completed a schematic design process, and we do intend to come back and provide an update to council in April next month related to that design, the programming of the jail, what's all included, how many square feet, you know, bed types, all that good stuff, as well as an update on the budget.
And just to add to that, I know Councilor Anker had requested that update today. We just had a scheduling conflict with the consultant, so we'll be bringing that back in April to respond to your referral.
Uptown Pickleball, so we have that design build contract in place. We've had several good meetings with both the contractor and the Pickleball Association and Parks and Recreation. We've really settled on a concept design. The contractor's currently pricing that, which we should get later this week. Hopefully, we're tracking the budget with that design, and then we can move forward with finishing the design, getting permits, and starting construction later this year. Splash pads, again, these are both SPLOST-funded. Britt David splash pad, we've completed the design. It's currently in for a land disturbance permit, which we should get any day, and then we will get started on that next month. Again, it's only about 60, 90 days to build, so it should be ready to go early summer. And then Bibb City splash pad, which will be by the Comer Gym, we're finalizing that design, and so it'll trail a little bit behind Britt David. And be glad to answer any questions.
Yes, sir. Councilor Crabb.
Thank you. On this list that you gave us, I noticed that there's 2 splash pads for Liberty. There's on the second page, the third one down, and then again, 2 under the spider web. You know, there's a splash pad, Liberty District, and then there's a Liberty splash pad. Are there 2 splash pads going in the Liberty
No,
District?
that's an error. I'll remove one. It's on here twice.
Okay. And then earlier, I had asked you, not today, a couple of weeks ago, I had asked you about funding for some playground renovations or funding in Heath Park, and you had said no, but I do see it on here that it says Heath, Salmond, DC, and Shirley.
Yes, that was
So we
added
do-
in the FY26 budget, and we'll get that update from Director Browder.
Okay, so we do have funds for the Heath Park playground.
Those were
after
the
all.
4 that City Council added in the budget.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate that. Let me just double check to make sure there wasn't, oh.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for finishing that College Drive, that looks really good. I noticed that it said it was 99% done, what's left?
What's left?
Just confirming that permanent grass will take and that type thing. We've already got with the city arborist. He is gonna be planting, I think it's pistachio trees along the guardrail to shield that house where we did all the clearing.
Nice,
So we're gonna make that thing look really nice.
yeah, it looks good. Okay, thank you.
Councilor Anker.
Yes, Mayor Pro Tem and Budget Chair. I wanted to ask, we talked several months ago about maybe considering our budget process, what was going to happen this year, what we possibly could do, and we were saving that for a work session. I know there's a lot of things more pressing than this, but I wanted to make the comment together that, I brought it up, that I feel like we need to focus hard on some modest decrease over the next 3 years. We've swollen our budget on the school. Our taxes are up, and we're bringing in hundreds of millions of dollars on an annualized basis every single year, more than we had in 2018. I've been studying this, and, we have a lot of needs also. We heard from Chief Scarpa So I just feel like there's still a very relevant thing, maybe not for this work session since it wasn't on the agenda, but that we should. And I mostly want to state that for a comment, how we move forward on budget. Maybe we would look at zero-based budgeting, or we would start by asking a question. If we weren't doing this today, would we have started this department? I'll just say it that way. And it's going to get harder in the future, not easier. And that goes to my second topic that I really wanted to cover, even though we're not talking specifically with the jail consultants and all the work we've done. I wanted to ask Clifton if he possibly would give me a little bit of history lesson on where we were, what the dates were, when did the feds come in, when did we try to fix our jail situation, and I'm just trying to catch up on where we were with dates and the jail as it related to being forced by regulation to do things we weren't ready for. History.
Okay, well, these will be rough dates, but since I don't have documents in front of me, but approximately 99 or 2000, we entered a consent decree with the Department of Justice that certain things would be brought up to the requested standards. And of course, the city rocked along under that consent decree for probably 10 plus years. And then Ms. Sheftel reminded me that around 2014-15, there was another memorandum of understanding with the Justice Department and approval of the court, of course, that went on for another several years till 2018 or 19, that you would meet these standards before the Department of Justice would release you from the consent order and the memorandum of understanding. And then Columbus was officially released around that time frame, 2018.
Were there specific, I know there was a lot probably in it, but was it more around people and HR? Was it more around facilities and maintenance or health?
It ran the gamut. It was sanitation issues, kitchen issues, mental health, medical clinic issues, and staffing. And of course, the agreements, consent decree, and the MOU ran over such a long time period that several sheriffs were involved and several different committees of council, budget committees. So,
thank you.
But that gives you an idea of how long something like that can go for, almost 20 years if you get involved with Department of Justice issues. And, that's a last resort when they would come in and put you under a consent decree. But it does happen around the country still to this day. Fortunately, we are working toward a new jail, and I think federal authorities know that. I know all our state delegation knows that. So, we're working toward a solution, because these things cannot be, band-aided forever. Everybody knows that.
Okay. I appreciate the update. I would like to see some documentation so I could read and learn more, but I felt like it was important to bring it up right now because we're moving into this conversation when the engineers and developers and Ryan brings the whole team here when we can do that. So I wanted to continue the dialogue just a little bit. Deputy City Manager, we asked also about the terms of the contract under the architectural design phase and some other areas. You were going to check, last time we talked, there had been a RFQ that was delivered and won on, and we've spent the majority of that money. I don't know where we are in the budget process of that, but I'd like to know how much money is still owed. And how much work is owed delivered? Yeah.
So essentially, they've completed the two entities, which is, we had a design contract with the SLAM Collaborative for programming and design, schematic design services to get us a design to this point, and then we had a construction manager contract with Gilbane Building Company to provide construction management to this point, which includes budgeting and all those kind of things. So the totals of those contracts, equal right at the $3 million that was allocated, so we have exhausted all of those $3 million, that was currently budgeted. And going forward, how the contracts were written was the city has the sole option to either continue forward with our current team, or, we could do another bid process or go through some other RFP process if we wanted to go back out on the street. But the city has that option to proceed forward.
Well, I appreciate that, just to help an understanding. I'm real, I respect and like the architects, the engineers, the professionals in the industry that we've had forward. I have been doing a lot of talking to people across the state, contracting companies, designers, architects, and I've been researching our own history in this jail situation. So to me, it wasn't really relevant that they didn't come today, because I'm trying to get caught up. And I feel like the public is not really well-versed on where we've come from and where we are. So I think it's relevant we talk about it today. And I just want to make some statements, because I feel like what you just said is, number one, an accurate statement and very important, that if the council chooses to go back out and look again, maybe we should, maybe we can. I know the feds are listening and watching. We're working with our state delegation. It's a lot of money. Time is of the essence. I am on the sheriff's side. I am on the people's side. We need a jail solution quickly. Time is of the essence. But I look back, and I could give you a whole history lesson just since 2001. And I'm not going to take a whole lot more time, but I want to tell you that we came to the table here at the podium on the 3rd of January of 2023, that's 3 years ago. We had three options: 138 million, 277 million, and 261 million. That was only 3 years ago. We came back a year and a half after that, and we had an option of 447 million. That was design and construction fees. We've gotten options that came again. Oh, this is the bond, what the debt load would look like. So it's real important that we're talking about the money, because now what I'm hearing on the streets is we're talking about over $500 million for a new jail. And I understand the necessity for fast and prudent, and I think in 3 years, how we've gone from the low side, and this is just 3 years, the low side of 138 million to now the high side, after principal and interest of 30 years, of $900 million. That's including the debt. I don't know how we can do that. I started with the budget. I said we're 200 million more every single year. We overspent last year by 30 million, dipped into our savings, and we're not talking enough about the future pain that we all have to endure together to do the right thing. And so there's no doubt where we're going. I have some other things I want to present, but I'm not going to present them today because I don't want to suck us down the drain, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. But I do think it's a very relevant statement. And I think there's probably a lot of people who think maybe we need to start back with a real strategy and a real plan, talking more frequently about this jail and how do we fix it together. It's going to cost a lot of money no matter what we do. I'm on board. We have to do it, and we have to do it fast. I believe I've got a better solution that can do it for less than 300 million, and we're already talking about over 500 million. I don't want to get in the way of progress and slow it down. I want to speed it up. I believe we can. If I took you through the history of 2001 building the new tower, and we value engineered it, and it failed within the first month. If I took you through the 2008, they promised through the OLAS tax that we would build a new jail. They allocated $17 million, but we never did it. If I took you to 2015, that actually matched up with the MOU, Memo of Understanding. I didn't realize that. Mayor Teresa Thomason was submitted some plans. It never came to council for a new addition that only cost $31 million, but we never did it. And then we fast forward to the last numbers I just gave you. We have missed the boat for 26 years. And we're about to embark on the biggest debt thing that the city has ever done. So it's very relevant that we talk about this weekly to me. I thank you for your time, Mayor Pro Tem. That's all.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thanks for bringing it up. Councilor Tucker.
Oh, I'm good. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Yes, sir, Mr. Pruitt.
So last presentation for today is on the short-term rentals, and I do apologize that we did not have this ready on Friday when the agenda went out. Counselor Garrett had made the request that we bring this, so this is just information for council and any direction you want to provide us on short-term vacation rentals, but we'll make sure we send this presentation out to all the counselors. So, Director Pruitt.
Yes, as Deputy City Manager Hodge stated, at request wanted to provide an update on short-term rentals, the status of the ordinance, as well as just some general feedback that as staff we hear both from the public and citizens of neighborhoods, as well as some operators of these short-term rentals about our ordinance. So just a status of the ordinance, it's regulated by Chapter 4, Article 9 of the UDO. That was last modified in January of 2023, so it's been over 3 years since we updated this. To be in compliance with the ordinance, operators are required to annually obtain a permit from Inspections and Codes in addition to a business license for each location that they operate. One thing I did want to note, we do anticipate both new permits and renewals being available to be submitted for, applied for online, and paid for completely online no later than June 1st, 2026. So that'll be coming very soon. In accordance with the ordinance, to obtain a permit, operators are required to submit all these things: a permit application, a background check, a floor plan, an insurance policy, and one of the latest changes we made in 2023 was they have to notify the neighbors that share a property line with the proposed location. It's not an approval, the neighbors can't vote up or down, but it's just, hey, we're gonna run a rental. If you have any problems or any of our guests get out of hand, here's who you can call. So all of these things are required to be submitted annually with the exception of the neighbor notification. They only have to do the neighbor notification when they first obtain their permit. Once we get all the paperwork in order, Inspections and Codes schedules an inspection with the operator to go do an inspection of the unit. During that inspection, we're looking for basic life safety thing, smoke detectors, means of egress, making sure that the dwelling is in good enough shape to be a short-term rental. Also, the change in 2023 was we established caps in each of the city's historic districts. So this includes, the downtown historic district, Maricopa St. Elmo, Overlook, Waverly Terrace. All those historic districts now have caps. In 2025, only those two, the downtown and Maricopa districts, got to those caps. The others still have room in there. And overall, we permitted 277 short-term rentals in 2025. So just some feedback that we received from the public on the regulation and the operators on the regulation of these rentals. Operators question the need to obtain a permit annually from Inspections and Codes. Some of them feel like that's too much. They already got to renew their business license every year. It's an additional step that they have to come see us and then come see finance. And they also, maybe even more so than that, feel the need for a background check is an undue burden. I don't know of any other, maybe other than alcohol sales and some other things that require background checks, but short-term rentals, we require a background check for the owner as well as the short-term rental agent, and that's something that they have to provide to us every year. So they feel, the general feedback we get is that seems to be an undue burden on, to operate one of these. And then from the public, they're often interested in banning them completely or significantly reducing the prevalence of them in their neighborhood next door to them, and those types of things. And so options, if council wanted to limit the location or the number of rentals, we already have the caps for those historic districts in our city ordinance. We could create additional overlay districts to establish caps in neighborhoods beyond the city's historic districts. So, you could establish really any geographical bounds. One that's come up lately is Bibb City, which is kind of asked from 2nd Avenue, to the river from 35th north. They would like to see an overlay district created that would limit the number of rentals, within that geographic bound. We could do that, in other places as appropriate throughout the city. And another option. Right now, short-term rentals are permitted uses in every zoning district, so any single-family, any multifamily, residential office zoning district. It's just a permitted use, so as long as you meet the, the application requirements, you get approved. Council could consider revising that to where they were not, unpermitted, so they would not be allowed in certain districts. Now, of course, we do have currently operating units, and those would probably have to be grandfathered in to allow to continue, but if that was revised, then no new units would be permitted. And so again, we just wanted to provide that quick update and those couple options, and be glad to answer any questions and go from there.
I have a question. I remember we had an issue with someone opened a Airbnb. They contracted with a national firm. The lady moved out of Columbus and just turned her home into a rental property and didn't notify the city, didn't notify the neighbors. My question is there any state law to regulate this industry? Do we know that? Or let's try. I'm talking about the Airbnb type community, not particularly renting a house, but you know what I mean. What had happened in this situation was it became a party house for the college age crowd. So that's kind of where I'm headed with this. Is this something we should think about putting on our legislative agenda for next session?
I'm not aware, unless the city attorney is aware of any type of a state regulation.
Okay. Well, let's just put that on our list as we go forward.
We're not aware of any, and Mr. Sly, who's here, is not either, so.
Okay. Councilor Garrett.
Director Pruitt, Councilor Crabb and I have contacted you about the short-term rentals, particularly around Maricopa Park, which is not part of the historic district where we have a cap. What is easier for you to regulate? For us to extend that, because it would be most of my constituents in my district want there to be caps, or for us to change the zoning so that basically it has to come before council for a variance? Which of those options make sense? Because otherwise I'm going to want pretty much District 8 in a cap situation, and they're also, to the Mayor Pro Tem's point, on the local level, what's the penalty? Because the one on Stark Avenue we brought up, they did not notify all the neighbors. There were 3 neighbors who did not get the notification, so they did not follow the proper protocol. What is the penalty? Can we revoke that permit but for failure to comply? And but for the future, I know Councilor Crabb and I would like to know, how can we limit it, and which one makes more sense to you? I mean, it seems like it would make, I don't know how many requests we're going to get, but it seems like it would make more sense rather than you having certain areas of town that we've requested just to make it where it has to be a zoning variance. But that's just my opinion. But
yeah, I mean, making it, like I said, a special exception or, something like that would be a lot for both staff and council. I think if you wanted to go that hard as far as limiting them, then, we could look at the zoning districts that comprise. So if you do it by zoning district, so we're going to say in SFR 1, short-term rentals are no longer a permitted use. So any property that is SFR 1, it would not be permitted, period. They just couldn't get a permit. They couldn't operate that type of business at that location. And you could extend that to RE1 or RE5, whatever. And of course, we have a multitude of, zoning districts. So with the overlay district would be the easiest, if we still want to allow them in parts of town, but we want to limit the number of them, that's, to me, the overlay district is the way to do it. And I would think, we need to have a process to where a group of neighbors or citizens can get, with council or with staff to request that of, hey, we would like to see an overlay district, short-term rental overlay district created for our specific part of town, kind of like Bibb City. There was email correspondence that they sent me, and then we could work with the city attorney's office to define that district and, calculate an appropriate number of rentals for that district, and then come to council and get their, approval for that.
Do you have a pen right now with you?
I do. I got a phone.
Okay.
I'll take notes.
Okay. I would like it for Bibb City, that's in my district, because that's where I've gotten complaints. And then the neighborhoods from basically Lake Bottom all the way to Hilton, and then Hilton Heights. Those are the only places I've gotten complaints so far. There may be new ones that come up now that we've had this meeting, but so far those are where I've gotten complaints of party houses related to these short-term rentals. And look, I want people to be able to make money with their properties and businesses, but we also have to balance the fact that we have very, very limited homes for people to buy here for home ownership. And we have a lot of new hotels that have been built. And we need to keep those filled, or else we are going to, we're going to lose out on the opportunity to expand that and have more conferences. And, you know, I do think we have more than adequate short-term options available through hotels, but I'm definitely getting complaints. I know Councilor Crabb, because we have some overlay of where my district meets hers, and also Averett Woods. I don't think I've had that happen yet, but that is in her district, but in a little bit of mine, but that would definitely be a big concern there. And whatever way you think is best to do that, if you'll just, I know you were here about a lot of things today, so you were overwhelmed. But, Mr. City Attorney, if your office could maybe help with a proposal and maybe get back to us within a month or two, just so I can tell my constituents we have something at least coming back. But I definitely have gotten complaints about Bibb City and then from Lake Bottom all the way to Hilton Avenue and Hilton Heights. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Anchor.
I was just curious, how is our codes and inspections doing on regulating this? I mean, because we can put new regulations into it, and I agree with a lot of things Walker's talking about, but is your department able to keep up with it? Can you find the ones that aren't permitted? I mean, because everybody seems to be doing it, and this goes to that. Is it a zoning issue? Is it a parking issue? Is it loud a noise issue? Is it CPD? Is it codes and inspections?
So short-term rentals are a challenge to regulate just by the nature of, you know, because generally nobody's physically at the unit unless it's a tenant, and obviously we're not going to hold somebody from out of town responsible for operating without a permit because it's not, you know, that's not their responsibility. So we do, you know, code enforcement has a standard procedure when we come across an unlicensed or unpermitted rental. You know, right now all those violations are just really paperwork. You know, they don't have the permit, they don't have the business license. So we follow up with that. We, you know, send certified mail. We created a nice orange sticker that we put on the front door that lets the tenant know, hey, enter at your own risk. You know, this is unpermitted. We haven't inspected it. You know, we can't vouch for the conditions in here. And that generally gets the operator's attention very quickly because their guests don't like to see that notice. You know, so like any other code enforcement violation, if somebody is violating the ordinance, the first option is to you know, serve them with a citation to come to recorder's court where they can be fined, you know, up to $1,000 a day for violations. Where it becomes challenging is when we have out of town, you know, these rentals are owned by out-of-state LLCs, you know, or they're not here in Muskogee County, you know, and if we continuously couldn't get to compliance, and we traded some emails with the city attorney, you know, there would have to be, if we wanted to go, we'd have to go to court and do a whole an expensive process to actually physically shut them down. You know, code enforcement can't go lock somebody's door. But, you know, we would have to, if we're going to limit them more and outlaw them in more places, you know, we would have to define a specific procedure with the city attorney's office that, you know, code enforcement is going to try to go through all these letters, you know, post notices, try to cite somebody for 60 days and then, or whatever the time frame needs to be. And then after that point, you know, we'd have to bring in the city attorney.
I appreciate this. I feel like it is a balance between too much regulation and enforcing the ones we have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And Mayor Pro Tem, just, I would like Ryan to address how we find unlicensed. We do have a system that we work with the Commission and Visitors Bureau, if you just want to mention that.
Yeah, so the Visitors Bureau, and it's in the ordinance, they're responsible for coordinating with us. So they help us identify ones that are not permitted. So they actually recently just changed software vendors. They were using one company and they found what they felt was a better solution. So been coordinating with Ashley at the Visitors Bureau on that new system. And so they typically provide, you know, regular updates of, okay, here's the rentals, the unpermitted rentals that are showing up. You know, however the software works, can pull the address and then we can compare that to our permitted rentals and find the ones that are not or haven't gone through the process to get permitted.
Okay, Councilor Crabb, you're
Thank you.
next. If you could allow City Attorney to comment, and then you can follow him, okay?
Go ahead.
I'm just going to follow up on a couple of things he said. It's your folks who are following the law out there and designating a rental agent when they come in to get a permit like they're supposed to. Those folks are doing the right thing and are not the problem. It's always somebody who wants to skirt the rules, a non-resident LLC or whatever, and then they create a problem in the neighborhood. But it's a balancing act. I think you're going to have a more favorable look from a court if you use an overlay district, case by case, put those in place, as opposed to a blanket ban in a particular district. I think you're likely to have more challenges, and court look at that not so favorably, but we'll be glad to help with any overlay districts that are proposed. And, you know, trying to get an injunction against a resident or a non-resident property owner is always the last resort. We have done it on properties where there's a public health or a public safety emergency, but we have not had to do that so far with respect to short-term vacation rentals. There's an expense involved, and it really would be a last resort for a dire problem.
And I have some questions for you. Is it possible, is it even legal for us to require that they have to be locally owned? Are we discriminating in any way if we say, you know, all the Airbnbs here in Columbus, Georgia must be owned or managed by someone locally? I would say even owned. I mean.
Yeah, I don't think you can go to ownership, but the management or designate a local agent, that's permitted.
I think that's an important aspect that we should look into.
We do that.
The ordinance currently requires an agent to be designated for each unit, in the way that I believe this is the wording in the ordinance. You know, it's got to be somebody that's customarily in Muskogee County.
Okay.
So we do require that, and we do confirm that person's real and their phone number works, and the operators through the application process, you know, they can do it themselves if they're the owner and they're local, or if they're out of town, they have to designate somebody local to serve as that agent.
Okay. I get a lot of telephone calls from agents who are about, you know, they're under contract, they're about to close, and they want to know the process of turning this into an Airbnb. And I really think we need to be proactive, that we need to get with the Columbus Board of Realtors and educate them on this. But also, I do kind of like a proactive approach. I understand the overlay, but something about a variance where we're brought, the property is brought before council or before somebody, and because Walker and I were able to stop one from a second one going on to Stark. You don't have a second one on Stark, do you?
I would have to double check.
I hope not, because we scared them a little bit. Those neighbors do not want another one on Stark. And so there needs to be some kind of preemptive, some kind of proactive way that that we find out that this is what they're planning on doing with this house before it gets too far down the road and they're, you know, closing in a week. That, hey, if you think you're going to get an Airbnb here when you close in a week, you know, you might want to think that twice, because there's a chance that you won't. And I don't know how to prevent that from happening. That's something that we need to kind of work in having preventive. Fortunately, I was just in a situation where they called me, and Walker and I were able to talk to them and stop it. But we would have had hell to pay if we weren't able to stop that. So that's a concern that we have. And, I can help you get in front of the Columbus Board of Realtors and help educate them more on the short-term rentals. I know not all of them are going to be managing these short-term rentals. I know that there are companies that are managing them that are not realtors, but it does help because a lot of the realtors are the ones that are selling these properties to these short-term rentals. And if they know some of these rules up front, then it might stop some of them from happening in the first place. Thank you.
Councilor Chambers.
Yes, I'll make mine comments very quick. How many short-term rentals do we have in Columbus?
So last year, we permitted 277
So it's 277?
that were permitted.
Okay, for downtown historic, there's a cap there, right?
Correct. So it's 35, if I remember correctly.
So I guess my question, how did you come up with that cap rate, that percentage?
So as a rule of thumb, I think we started out at 10% of the residential parcels in each district. And then based on public feedback, we adjusted that. I think for the downtown district, if I remember right, that's about how many were permitted already when we went to that model in the ordinance. So we just kind of locked it there. So like Bibb City, for example, I believe there's 6 permitted in that geographical neighborhood. So, if the direction from council and the public and everybody was, we don't want any more, we could set it at 6 and it would, they're all accounted for day one.
So there's no formula?
Right, yeah, like I said, we generally looked at 10% of the residential parcels, and then, each neighborhood kind of chimed in. I think for Waracoba, we may have adjusted it down, because Waracoba's geographically the biggest district, I think, so it had the most rentals that were allowed, but you could tailor it, but we started with 10%, and then we adjusted from there.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. Councilor Tucker.
Yes, is there something that states nuisance, like the individuals, if they, you keep having to deal with the same one, breaking the code? Do we have anything in that ordinance that talks about, I guess like a nuisance?
Habitual highway.
Right.
Yeah, so the ordinance does have a 3-strike, and your permit, would get revoked. Now that strike, it's not just a complaint or that would be a conviction of a ordinance violation, in recorder's court. So whatever the issue was, we'd had to write the ticket, go to court, and they'd be found. We had to do that 3 times for us to revoke the permit.
Okay, so you have a formula based on, like you said, 3 times, having to get a code. Yeah, that's a good question.
I think it's within 12 months.
Is it a period?
Yeah.
Let me make sure that people know what the question was.
Yeah.
Is there a period of time?
Yeah, how many violations in a certain period of time would
Right.
trigger that? I think it's 3 violations in 12 months.
12 months?
Yes.
Okay.
And then they lose the permit for 12 months, and then they have the opportunity to reapply.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Councilor Craft.
Just one more thing, maybe we could have you talk about a 10% cap by district, but maybe we could have an overall cap of, now we're at 277, maybe we have an overall cap of 300, 350, throughout the city. That's just something that, pardon?
277.
Yeah, I mean, that might be something that we want to look into when we're looking into this overlay. Thank you.
That's all the questions.
Mayor Pro Tem, I just have one announcement. We will have a community meeting for the Liberty Theater and Liberty District on April the 6th. That's Monday in the council chambers from 5:30 to 7.
Okay, thank you.
That concludes the work session agenda.
Okay, thank you. And I think we have a work session Do I have a motion to go into work session? I mean, executive session, I'm sorry. On litigation. Okay, a motion, do I have a second? Second. And, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. All opposed. And we're in executive session. Please clear the chambers, thank you. Okay, we're out of executive session. No votes were taken. We discussed litigation. So at this time, I'll call on Counselor Tucker.
Yeah, I just have one final question. I know that last year, July 29th, I sent the email about having, creating a small allocation of funds for community policing. This was something that myself and Counselor Davis was talking about, you know, once we were talking about addressing, you know, the homeless population and providing some assistance. I think well, in the email I had requested $12,000 with $1,000 monthly budget for things like hotels and food and stuff like that, that community policing could use to help the individuals when they see them on the road or in the encampment. Did we ever, you know, approve that? I'm not sure. I had somebody ask that question.
I think there have been some benefactors that have donated some funds.
I know the cards from Goodwill, I was gonna say, thank you, Travis, Councilor Chambers.
Deputy City Manager?
The cards.
I'll have to check into that. I'm not sure if that was, because that would have had to come to council as a request through a budget amendment, and I don't recall that being in the mid-year budget amendment, but
And I don't think it was either,
I'll have
and
to
that's
check
why.
on
It was a total of 12,000 that we had requested, and this was July 29th of 2025 with $1,000 monthly budget to help with those resources if they had to do like hotel expenses and things like that.
I'll check on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, no further business. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Okay. Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. We are adjourned.